Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome to Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. I am your humble host, Dr. Jefferson Brown, and we will be talking today about the top 5 things that we would like to see women either invest in or divest in as a result of some of the trends that we've seen lately in modern day women and feminism moving a certain direction that's not necessarily the most productive or conducive of what we'd like to see in the future going forward. And um, I guess I'm trying to find a light way, a nice way to put this. We want to talk about things that we would like to see women change or reshape in order to become the best components that we know they internally possess for our future. On this channel, Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson, we discuss a wide range of topics that are intended to bring about accountability that could lead to shifts in the paradigm of our subculture in America and Black and Brown people in general. But as you know, on this channel, we do believe that people are only people, but culture is paramount. In the subculture of Black America, white America, Hispanic American, Asian American culture, we are all in this together in this country right now. And there is a constant struggle to redefine what it looks like to be you and live authentically in your own history and cultures and traditions while still allowing yourself to shape some that are indicative of the culture and traditions that are being set for us as we build a life moving forward. So, if you are not already a subscriber, I encourage you guys to hit that subscribe and notification bell. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome, welcome, welcome. We do appreciate you for being here and absolutely are excited about jumping into this topic today. We should have a couple of guests today. We're going to feature Kel, Stu, and the official Urban Therapy from Urban Lounge podcast. And all of us will be bringing a plethora of things or ideas for us to discuss that are possibilities for increasing the amount of collaborative effort on the parts of American women and American men in order to show that we are fully vested in improving the quality of the culture that we are all a part of. So I will bring Sue to the forefront, to the stage, and let her introduce herself and give you guys a couple of great words about, where you can find her, where you can vet services if you guys are looking to vet the services of a qualified licensed clinical social worker for psychotherapy and healing and that type of thing. And then I will let Kel, introduce himself and give you guys a couple of words about where it is that you can find him and what he's into, some of the things that he's dedicated to doing in this upcoming year. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Sue on and she'll be able to talk to you guys for just a second.
Well, hello, Dr. Jefferson. Thanks for having me on. I'm Susanna Stone. I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Georgia. I work with couples. I do individual therapy. I do substance use treatment. I also, if you are a clinician or is in the process of becoming a clinician, I provide clinical supervision. I provide program assistance in the form of how to figure out how to get your program going. So program management, program consultation, program development. That's kind of what I do. My platform is purely virtual, so I do that as a way of allowing people who are pretty busy, and it's tough to come into an office. You just log in. You can log in anywhere you are, and we can talk about what are the ways in which you want to make things different for you. So that's who I am.
Well, Kel, would you like to talk to some of the things and some of the initiatives that you would like to spearhead in this upcoming year? Some of the suggestions that you have for the cast, some of the things that maybe you're looking forward to discussing in today's discussion.
We got 5 topics. So
Can you hear him?
y'all, yeah.
It's broken. It's broken.
You got
Up.
to come closer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all see, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna
Okay.
jump in.
So he says that he has definitely started developing his list of 5 things that he liked to see, and I can't wait. I for one can't wait to see what he's got to say. I really can't wait to see what some of our viewers have to say about it. And I'm really excited about having this conversation because I feel like, oftentimes we do not give enough credit to the realities that sit in front of us when it comes to what we can actually do and maybe conversations that we could have in order to improve the state of our union or our subculture in America. I think so many people take a very hands off approach, like it's not my job, it's not my job, and then allow things to unfold as it will. And then we have so many complaints on the back end. But there are opportunities for us to actually improve the outcomes that are in front of us. So, those are my thoughts on that, you guys. So, without further ado, I'd like to start off talking about modern day dating mindset versus traditional mindset as it relates to women. If you guys recall, if you guys checked in on our show earlier this week, we had a show where we talked about the modern day versus traditional mindset of women and men, but from the perspective of correcting some of the actions and inaction that we see in men in society. So on this show, we're going to target and talk about accountability issues that directly are related to women. Because at the end of the day, if we think about some of the innate or some of the natural things that we're responsible for doing as human beings on this earth, if we're put here for a divine purpose, as I personally believe, because I'm a very spiritual person, if we're put here to procreate, to be fruitful and multiply, and to expand in what has been given to us, I think that that means that a woman has a unique position and a unique job, and a man has a unique position and a unique job in that. And there are certain things that we have to go through in life in order for us to improve our potential to kind of rise to the occasion and join in a way that's conducive of us continuing life legacies. And without the cooperation of both parties, I feel like we really cannot get to where we're going, right? And we have to have these difficult conversations because at the end of the day, I know people are sometimes triggered and it makes you feel a way, but sometimes we have to examine whether or not we're triggered because somebody is speaking our truth and we were not yet ready to embrace it, to own it, to call a thing, and then, take some corrective actionable steps to reshape behaviors of our own, in order to move into a more productive space. So I want you guys to comment below and let me know what you think the modern day dating mindset was for males and the traditional mindset has been or was for males before this evolution, right? So give me your thoughts and feelings about that while we discuss ours. I'm gonna go and defer to Stu first.
What do I think about modern day mindset for male or for female?
What do you think the modern day mindset of men is, and then what do you think the traditional mindset of men was back then, back in the day, 19 let's let's clock in 1940s to
Mm.
1980. And then we're gonna say after that it's gonna be the modern day man.
I mean, I think the traditional mindset of male dating usually males had I don't know, lack of a better word, they had a model of what a man should look like in the form of a dad, a father, in their lives. So he set the stage on how you um, understand women and treat women and what is expected of your role in dating. Stuff like you pay for her, you open the door for her, you bring flowers, you address her appropriately, you dress appropriately. Like, and I know it's Men don't always wear suits today. Like that's not what required. But back in the day, certainly I'm old enough to kind of say some of that stuff. That men also took pride in dressing like at that era what a man looks like. So it's really about demonstrating a respect for women, a respect for yourself. But you had a that these men had a male in their life that said this is how you should treat women, and so men did that. So their dad was instrumental in helping them know that, and also how you choose the kind of woman that fits the family. It wasn't just you; it really was. You weren't just dating with the intent of marrying somebody for you, but you were bringing somebody in a family that fit the family. So there was discussions about those things. Um, and I would just say, sort of, I remember my dad, interviewing my sister's boyfriends even before they went anywhere. And that was like nobody was upset or angry, like that was expected. That was
Right,
understood.
because it was a norm.
Yeah. I think today it's very different. Like even the 90s is different from the 2000s. Like the 90s, boys, young males still kind of still sort of dressed up to take their girlfriend out and call, show up. They didn't just show up, they called, I was coming, make appointments and they show up. And I think today it's very, I see younger folks dating and it doesn't, I don't know how you say that, but I think there's a shift from I need to present myself sort of respectfully. I need to present myself like I'm a man. I just need to show up. And I certainly don't see doors opening. I don't even see it. I don't even, not that I'm out there watching, but I know that guys are not opening doors for women anymore. That's really not happening anymore. There's a lot of discussion about who pays for the meal. There's a lot of discussion about we go halfway. I think traditionally that wasn't even a conversation. The expectation was that the man, that was the role of the man, that's his job. So I think, you know, men of today, it looks or it appears that there's less of a value of dating. What dating really is very different. And I don't even know if they call it dating today. I don't know if folks date today anymore. Do they?
I think that's a good question because I think that the mindset of the more traditional man kind of sets up a woman to position herself in a certain place, right? The mindset of a modern day man equally has the potential to set a woman's mindset of how it is that she should be shaping herself or how she should show up to vet or to qualify for having a seat at the table of that modern day man. Mm-hmm. So I think the shifts in the way that men are set up traditionally versus modern mindset or mind frames position a woman and tell a woman what's allowable, what's acceptable, what is discouraged or unacceptable. But I also think that there are some other factors that play in societal evolution, if you will, that play into why it is that women have become so haughty and defensive. And, the way they move now, they feel like they have something to prove to men. So it's almost like it's a battle, right?
Competition.
Yeah. And so I feel like that a lot of that has a lot to do with some of the things that are on my list. So I thought it would be befitting for us to kind of redefine what we mean by modern day versus traditional again, and have this conversation in a way that it overlaps or it creates some framework for understanding why it is that it's really important for modern day women to take a shift and do things a little bit differently, considering the impact that they now have on the potential for a future for us all. Because women are in a different position. Right? And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this because women think that they already get it. Men come at us so hard and the world is so hard on especially Black women. You hear that narrative a lot. But I think that the reason Black women catch a lot of heat, it's because we are the foundation of humanity. You know, we've carried the weight of the world on our backs for ages, and we fed the young of other culture of women. We've had to curate and raise other people's children, right, of other cultures, and taught them the
Mhm.
foundations or the foundational principles and basics of life. There is so much of other people's culture, other cultures of folks
Mhm.
that come from the bosoms of what has transcended now into the black woman. And I think that there is I think as women we want to take ownership of that, right? We want to take credit for that because we feel like credit is due, but we don't want to take ownership of the things that we now do that are basically a disgrace against what it is that our founding women and founding mothers and grandmothers have set and paved the way for us to be able to have the opportunity to accomplish here in America. So I think sometimes we have to take a step back and see where we are and
Mhm.
really do an honest assessment of where we've come or gone, or maybe if we've even made any serious, you know, improvements overall, right? So, but yeah, that's where I am on that. I feel like the traditional man is, like you say, one who was taught to lead, one who was taught to provide,
Mhm.
one who was taught to protect, and to do so with honor, right? And I
Mhm.
think that what we see in modern day men, and that's why I bookmarked the 80s time frame, we see a bunch of men who felt like the world maybe shined a little bit too bright of a light on women,
Mhm.
you know, doing the feminist movement and things like that. And then you have some women getting extremely entitled and that kind of stuff. And that turns into the men who are watching that kind of create some resentment for them because they're struggling through some things.
Mhm.
Let's not forget the fact that men, black men especially, had the right to vote before black women. We're the last,
Mhm.
right? There is still this resentment for the societal's acceptance of now black women, placing them on what black men would then see as an equal playing
Good.
field as
Mhm.
them instead of beneath them. So there could be some level of power differential that places the man that's still at the hierarchy or the head of the home, right? So it's kind of like, I think the competition it goes both ways. And I think that the man sets the tone for the level of competition or non-competition or non-compete that the woman espouses and leads with once she kind of gets a feel for some of that.
Hmm. I mean, I think some of the thing, I totally agree with you. I also think that maybe I'm stepping into deeper waters, but single parenting has something to do with that. That as a mother, you now feel like because if dad's not available or partially available, you now have two roles to play: the mom and the dad, raising sons and daughters, and that's a difficult role. It's hard to, we can't be men, so it's certainly my thinking is it's not that women don't have any business raising sons. You raise sons with their dad. I understand that. Um, but if we have to raise them without their dad, there's a level of anger. You develop a level of anger having to do that, but you also then feel like the man in your life doesn't have the permission to tell you how to be and what to do. He no longer has that role of being the protector and the provider and the one to profess and all that stuff, because you have to have done some of that stuff. And I see that get played out in ways in how women talk to men, ways in how women treat men, ways in how what they expect from him, ways in how they tell him they've become better than. Um, So it's interesting to kind of watch how that plays out. And what really that is you see women having less of a respect for men. And then you hear, I don't need a man. You hear those kind of statements. And where is that coming from? You know, really, where is that? What's that all about? For a woman to make that kind of a statement. Um, and you know, so we see a lot of interchanging in roles. Women are taking on men role. Women are giving men rings. That's not a traditional mindset, right? And it's not that she can't give him a. It's not about her can't give him a ring, but you see women do the process of what men used to do when they're giving women a ring,
You still
when they're
have to get
proposing.
closer. Trying to give him the mic so he can get closer and actually speak into it.
Okay.
Come a little closer.
No, broke off. You hear me now?
Scoot closer. Okay.
I am.
So now you can hold it in your lap and speak into it directly.
Okay.
I think he's afraid of me.
Oh no.
I might bite.
Well,
So, what do you think the variation? What is the difference between a modern day man and a traditional man as far as like dating mindset? And then what's the difference between the modern day woman and traditional woman's mindset as far as dating?
well, me myself, I consider myself a traditional mindset type guy. From modern day flair, I want to call it. You know, that's modern day stuff because we have to evolve with times. But being that said, he's a traditional mindset type guy. You had to be more intentional back then because there was no AI, no phones, they had all the stuff they got now.
Mhm.
So you had to either call her, get with her, really go see her, or you missed that. There's no fake options like there are now. People they can think you got options because the phone got 100 people in there, but those people you don't even know. Those not options, they're just people on the phone.
Sure.
So they have a fake man. I said, but I can call up, but you really can't call nobody. Like back then, you had to take what you had, know what you know, go what you gotta go for. You stay on course what you're trying to really do. Nowadays, you can't do that because everybody got their own agenda, all these phones, everything, automated AI stuff, and nobody for real about that. About what they don't really for real about what matters to them, which nobody really knows but them. Takes too long to figure it out. Too many games being played in modern day stuff. Too many games being played. Nobody for real about nothing. Nobody want to determine what they want to do, how they want to do it, how they gonna get it done.
So you think it's that they're not serious, or do you
No,
think
they
that
serious.
it's
No,
the fact that they're just not committed,
not
or they don't see
committed.
the value in the committal?
They have too many options in their own mind in today's society. At least that's how it appears. You know, everybody's so quick to jump out. I can just go do such, you know, to go do whatever because it seems that way. It's not easy said and done. But that's the persona we have today in society. People, they will not stand and fight what's right. They will run and go get something easier or something more, convenient, you want to call it. Trying to fit their narrative, make it just right for them. You're not really right for nothing. You know, so I don't know if it'll work out. But that's where we at with that.
Okay. So, do you agree? Do you just about agree, Susanna?
No, I didn't get to hear all. I couldn't hear all of it. But I certainly know there's a shift in women feeling more empowered to be able to feel like they can stand up for themselves and take care of themselves. And because we feel like that, traditional values no longer matters. And because the Black woman raises their children by themselves most of the time, they have permission to be able to say to this guy, I don't need you because I'm doing the things that you should be doing. So you can't tell me anything.
I agree with that. So I feel like sometimes, most times, I feel like the intention is different for relationships. right? I feel like the intentions for traditional people were
To get
very different than the intentions of modern day society and dating. Traditionally, men intended to build their legacy line. So their
Mhm.
intention for dating was
Before
to
the date,
find a
before
woman
you went
that,
through the whole process. Now,
but not necessarily. Some men didn't
Mhm.
want to date or court. Traditional men are men who were in arranged marriages. So
Mhm.
those
yeah.
were men who were looking to extend their legacies.
Mhm.
They're looking to extend their legacy. So that means that they're looking to find some man that has a daughter, have a conversation with him, connect with him, and see how it is that he can offer in exchange for a good woman
Mhm.
that could take
Mhm.
care of his home and make sure that he's fed and have his kids. So he's
Mhm.
looking to literally get a woman that he can protect and he can provide for the assets that he has capacity wise, and allows him to live on through another being. So she's having kids for him. That's all he's looking for from her.
And it's
And
also uniting a family, uniting his family and her family. They are not separate at
yeah.
all.
Hmm.
No way.
Exactly, because he sees her then as an extension of him, his children as an extension of him. He sees her as a person he's grateful for. He's appreciative of her because she's the thing that expands his capacity to be more, right? To show up in a way that other men then respect him. Because you don't have the respect of other men in traditional society unless you found a wife. Your wife
Mhm.
takes care of you and raises God fearing and respectful kids.
Mhm.
And those kids are indicative of you being a bigger or better, person when it comes to society, as far as like now your productivity in society. So now you have commodities, you can sell something.
Mhm.
You have, it increases your worth fourfold, that woman's presence. And so
Mhm.
the woman has appreciation for the man because he's gone through sometimes hell and high water to even get her.
I'm just telling you. I remember
Yeah.
my dad saying to my sister's boyfriend, "What do you have to offer?" You
Hmm.
know, and like needs a list.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, I love her and I wanted to be my
Love ain't
wife.
gonna
It
do
was
nothing.
bigger
Love
than
ain't gonna pay
that.
no bills, and love ain't gonna
No
put no
man.
food in my daughter's mouth.
What does your family have to offer?
Yeah.
Not just you, because now we're joining families.
Right.
Yeah.
So are we taking a loss by marrying this woman into your family, allowing her to now extend your legacy, or are we now gaining? You know, so it's a little different. When you see that traditional mindset shape into something another 20 years evolved to being, okay, I still need a woman because I need a hot cooked meal, right? I still need a woman because I need the soft embrace and the warm embrace and the touch of a woman, the suppleness of a woman.
Mhm.
And again, that is my legacy line. She's going to carry me through the tough times I'm going to have at work. She's
Mhm.
going to lick my wounds. She's going to give me great advisement. She's going to multiply what I bring to her fourfold. She's going to pay into me in the same way that I pay into her. And I can look for long term investment to give me a return because I'm invested in her. Now, and you see that woman still having a certain level of respect for him and regard for him, because here's the thing: women still could not work, earn, have her own independent. She couldn't even have a
Mhm.
checking account. So even if she did earn and work under the table, what's she gonna do with the money? What investments can she make? What moves can she make as far as like building wealth over the course of time? And what is now her risk of being raped, assaulted in other ways, and robbed of what she does have, right? Because she no
Mhm.
longer has a man. So it's a mutual respect because there is a mutual need. And nowadays you don't see a mutual need because men don't only appear weak, they are weak. Physically, mentally, emotionally. All of it now. Back then you had men being weak, maybe emotionally, okay, maybe mentally, because they couldn't
Mhm.
control the urges of their penis. I call them penis holders, they, but they couldn't control their urges, maybe sexual urges. So you saw those weaknesses, but the physical strength and agility of a man you can never question because he was working hard every single day. Even men that weren't out in the fields or working, laborer jobs, they were still working hard. You know, you have them becoming engineers and actually doing something with their mind, exercising, becoming innovators, creators of the framework of what we now call our country in America. So you see those men building something, creating something, solving problems for society, bringing communities together with their abilities, right? So still you have that respect component. From a more traditional man, even evolved traditional men, you still have a great deal of respect and regard for them, and a woman still finds a need in them. When you see women now being more independent after asking for years and years for respect, because the other piece that comes along with the strength of that man is abuse, alcoholism, because like I said, he was mentally weak. You see what I'm saying? So that man may have been physically strong, but he was mentally weak and had a very difficult time gauging how it is that he deals with difficulties of the world around him. Black men have struggled astronomically over the course of years past, decades past, with finding people that validated them by the way they showed up for them. You see men of other cultures and other countries coming in and making more strides and successes than Black men, even now. And it is not because Black men are disrespected, disregarded, and invalidated now. It's because they've lost their way and they don't even have the foundational core findings of respecting themselves and hope that they will evolve into something greater. You see what I'm saying? Because they've lost that by way of seeing how these other people come in and thrive in their own country. And they still feel as if there is an invisible white man, an oppressor with this knee on his neck. Because in so many ways, I feel like that does happen. But I think that with accountability conversations, Black men realize that they bought some of that stuff on themselves. So your actions create a reaction for the other person that may have their knee on your neck, right? But I think that we've got to do better in creating opportunities for better mental health for men. And it is the month of men's mental health awareness. So which I know we have y'all in mind when we're devising this list of things that women should do and some of the things that women need to stop doing.
I know I sent you my list, but I can't find my list.
Oh, hold on. I was looking for your email, Urban, and I couldn't find it, but I'm pasting the link right here. And please understand, I do appreciate everybody who comes on to watch, and you guys can definitely come on the show and air your opinions and your perceptions, but you must validate, first of all, through StreamYards that I stream my show through. But you also need to make sure you have your camera on, because I'm not letting you on my show. You will just be backstage doing things that trolls do backstage, because I'm not having the foolishness. Not on this channel. Not today or any day. So there's that. But so let's see. Before we move past this talking point, I'll let Urban give us his take on modern day dating mindset versus traditional day people's mindset before we move on to some of the bulk of the heavy hitters of this conversation. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So I shared the link. I think. Yeah, it's in there. I think on all platforms. But interestingly enough, I don't know what's happened on my Twitter.
You breaking up a lot. That's what has been happening.
You said I was breaking up?
Freezing. Okay, here we are.
Hey, salute.
Well, hello there, Urban. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I've been very, very busy.
I see.
Breaking up too.
So we ended up getting this bed right, and I was spending the majority of the time putting that bed together, and I forgot what time it was. So I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta get on the stream real quick."
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I started working on it immediately when I got off for work. So
yeah, I know what that's like. So we're still on the first talking point, so that's fine. because I know we defined it on the show on Tuesday when we talked about things that men need to start doing and some things they need to stop doing in order in 2024 once these change, right? But we want to now redefine that again for the women's portion of this thing as we target accountability around things that women need to incorporate or to divest from as far as their behaviors and things like that. We want to now redefine it for this particular show so that way I can have them as separate segments. So what is your take on the difference between modern day dating mindset versus the traditional dating mindset?
Well, I have a double perspective about about that. To be honest, first of all, the traditional and the modern day dating mindset, it in a way intertwines with each other depending on the year. I'll put it that way. If we look in prior '80s, then yeah, the traditional mindset of dating was way different from above the '80s. You know what I'm saying? Back in the
We're looking
'80s,
for we're defining it as the 40s moving towards the 80s and then the
40s.
transition because the people that we see dating now are a direct impact from the 80s to the 90s era
Hmm.
people having children that are now moving and dating and shaking in this era.
Gotcha,
So,
gotcha,
yeah, so we're evolving modern day from the 80s on, the 40s to 80s for that previous set.
gotcha. And are we talking about a particular race, or are we just talking about overall people in America?
Overall, and then we talked about Black America. We in my definition I defined some of the parameters and some of the struggles of Black men in America, because when you think about those years, right, and some of the suffrage of Black people and what it looked like for Black men and women to now be in a society where, first of all, they're now finally being recognized as human beings. Second of all, they're reestablishing what the Black family looks like, or should I, let's use the correct language, African American family looked like back then, Afro
Hmm.
American people, Afrocentric dialogue, traditions, customs, principles, religion, ethics, morality. These are the things that those first, what I like to call founding forefathers of Black culture, this is what you saw those men and those women shape their value systems around because they were trying to be something. When I get into some of my list of things, um, and this relationship topic of discussion, boy, it's interesting because when I get into that, then we'll see kind of why it is important to really define and understand the mindset of the person who is dating from a traditional mindset versus that mindset of
Mhm.
the person who's dating from a more modernized approach in their mindset as to why it is dating, why it is marriage, or why date at all, what dating looks like. Does it lead to marriage or no? Does it not lead to marriage? Is that even something that's beneficial for either men or women? Because essentially, sometimes it's not beneficial for either, depending on the family of origin you come from, where
Mhm.
you are in your healing journey, how you recognize and normalize therapy and healing and revealing and that kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Gotcha. So if we talk about America as a whole, shout out to my moderator, showing up. Thank you for pulling up. But
Hey,
if
shut up.
if we if we talk about America as a whole, right? Uh, I believe that America was originally under the patriarchal system. Under the patriarchal system, it was husband who's the dominant, then it was still the wife. Then of course if we still talking about like Jim Crow era, the place like that, it was slaves and such and such. So under that patriarchal system, we could define that tradition relationship rely on that. They heavily rely on the man being the provider and the protector of the household. Period. But the one thing about it was that it was a lot of physical and mental abuse that was happening during that time. Meanwhile, well, when you dealing with African Americans, they also lived under the patriarchal system, but their definition of the patriarchal system was different from the American culture of first until they end up integrating after the I believe it's like the first or second wave of the feminist movement. So prior before that, they believed that of course the man was the head of the household and he still did that, protected and provided for his family. But also to add on to that, he had a high level of respect for his wife. Okay. Well, what I mean by that, he had a high level of respect for his wife where he treated his wife like a human being versus the American patriarchal system where they didn't treat their wives as human beings, they treated their wives as property. But prior after that, where slavery was happening, Jim Crow was happening, all these different psychological things was happening to African Americans, former predecessors, right? They end up integrating into the patriarchal system of America. And so now that system end up adopting to that, right? Where men start behaving in the same exact way as their alleged oppressor. And so I believe that integrated all the way now into the 80s and the 90s, where we've seen in the 80s and 90s where men start separated from their families. There was only sleeping with women because there was objects, and that was it. No, nothing more, nothing less. They didn't take responsibility for the children that they procreated with, nor they didn't want to take the responsibility of, taking care of the woman that they procreated with. So it led all the way down to modern day right now. What our modern day is just an advanced level, or you could say evolved level of what happened in the past with our parents. So that's how I just define the modern day condition.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Kel, you have anything to add to that?
You pretty much said it all. I got to weave off into it. Right about that.
Can you guys hear him? Sound check.
Oh,
I hear him a little bit.
I heard him, but I couldn't fully understand.
I'm a little close now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Urban, what's going on?
Hey, what's up with us? Salute. Been a while.
I'm still around.
Okay, so he felt like you kind of elaborated and made some points that he definitely can relate to, that he agrees to. So our next talking point, moving on, is have females in society been overly empowered? And by saying overly empowered, we're trying to, the purpose of this conversation is to segue into accountability, right? And a part of accountability is understanding the magnitude and then the causation of the problem, right? So we understand how large the problem is, how impactful the problem can become, then we can definitely have a conversation around accountability that's not necessarily seated in and rooted in and developed in vast in emotion, right? Because we can't get anything done in that space. The idea is to be able to be effective in the message that we send out, right? So when we talk about some of the main issues that have evolved the mindset of women into what we now see, this super feminist movement, MAGA, I don't know what you guys want to call it. It's something so far left
from what feminism is
that I have forgotten. I have forgotten that we even needed the feminist movement. Like, I'm like, can we just erase that part of history? But no, I think that it was definitely necessary to have the feminist movement and women to have rights, women to be activated in a way that it made them feel more equal. When we talk about being recognized as a human being and being a quality human being that has the potential to add value to the subsystems of the workforce and at home and outside of home, and be able to have some recreation or space for her to be human and take, throw your wig off, take your hair down, let the wind fly through it, have a couple of drinks, do the things that allow human beings to be impactful, but also respect, compassion for self, and coming into a space of wusa. You can take a weight off. You can take the weight of the world, you can close the door, you can turn your phone off, you can go inside, you can go out with your girls, enjoy yourself, and go home and still feel like you're valid in that space. And you're not all of these negative things that were previously associated in the very beginning of women getting their rights and going back to work. Oh, you're a whore, you're out here in these streets, and your daddy ain't sent a hold of me. All those things that black men, white men of traditional mindset used to say if the women wanted to go out once they got them right. So I want to be able to really speak to this in a way that we cover the magnitude of empowerment and the importance of empowerment, but also the importance of accountability when we talk about sometimes we can over empower, sometimes we can overly support people. And the outcome of that is entitlement, ladies. That's what that is. It's entitlement. Because that's what I think I see in the wake of all of this Black Lives Matter movement. You have so many people now pulling the race card on things that's not even race associated. It's sorry associated, right? People don't want to be around you not because your skin is brown or black, but people don't want to be around you because you soft. People don't want to hire you not because you're black, but because you have a history of not doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Of riding the clock while you out here shopping in the mall, but you're supposed to be at work.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the white man oppressing you. White man won't let you live. Help me understand. It's okay.
Yeah. I think that we also have to define what in particular is over empowerment for women. Because over empowerment also have that like gray area in between. You know what I'm saying? So what exactly is out there that allow women to be overly empowered, especially dealing with relationships in the modern day culture?
So what do you think? For me, I think a woman can be over empowered when we're standing behind a woman who clearly is in the wrong. And we're saying because she's a woman, she deserves to be handled lightly. Let's say women out in public behaving belligerently, she's drunk, and she says, oh, somebody raped me. And we have video footage of her entire time at a nightclub. I won't call any names because I ain't gonna do that. But we have video footage of her in the nightclub, and the woman might be a commissioner or congresswoman of the sort in public office. But she's saying that somebody sexually assaulted her, somebody put something in her drink. We have very clear 4K resolution, Ultra HD video footage of her entire time in the club and every drink that she drank, every move she made, and not on a single frame of said video footage inside of the club do we see the somebody putting something in her drink. But we do see the somebody that is her picking up several glasses and taking it down. And she was very drunk. We see that. But we're saying that, oh no, we need to believe her. Shut down this establishment. This establishment shouldn't allow people to do this to a woman of high esteem. And I believe her. That's over empowerment. That's over an irrational support.
Or even when recognizing that maybe she had more of a part to play than she wants you to believe, you recognize she was more in the wrong, you still support the expectation that she doesn't get the kind of treatment that you would give a regular person.
Right. You don't have to release a statement to your constituents. You don't owe them anything. You're human.
He pushed her to it. Those kind of statements, he pushed her to it.
Yeah.
He made it right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that scenario up because that segues into my talking point too about this. I believe the over empowerment comes from the lawmakers. There are a lot of women who are in power right now, and our congresswomen who are in power. They're creating various laws to cater to justify certain behaviors. so they don't have to take accountability for it.
Mhm.
for their
Mhm.
behavior.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I think that that's interesting. You know, we can say that it's okay for that person to not apologize to their constituents, but people will vote you in public office and expect you to be held to a higher standard of public presentation. Okay, public intoxication is a crime everywhere except New Orleans.
And we know why.
We don't-
But it's a crime. It's a crime, okay?
Right.
It's a crime where that person serves public office. And to allow a person to run again for public office and to not even address the concerns of the general public, to not take accountability, and because she's a woman,
Mhm.
because women are being raped and not believed every day. And if we take a stance and tell her to come back off or redact her statement, she saw the video like all of us saw the video and still maintain her same position as if it wasn't there. That is the definition of a delusion.
Mhm.
It is the
I know.
definition of a delusion.
Yep. Delusion
Yeah,
and entitlement.
Yep. Yep. And to then say that nobody has the right to tell her that she needs to apologize. I mean, it was just a lot. So I think when we talk about over empowerment, it means you're standing behind somebody when you see that they're wrong, and you will not force them into a space of accountability. Instead, you join and collude with them, and it exacerbates the issue that we see in society. Because here's the thing, right? There are some subjective wrongs. We can say it's subjective if we say that a person is wrong for drinking alcohol. Agreed? You shouldn't drink alcohol. God didn't want you to. Whatever. You're wrong. You're going to hell. We could say for that person who made that statement, they might be right from their belief system. However, other people might support that person and say, well, they're human. This is a free country. It's not illegal for them to do the thing of drinking alcohol. They're not doing it in public. They're at a bar. But there are universal wrongs sometimes. And I feel like it's the universal wrong thing for a person in public office to then say that the reason people are targeting that person is because she is a woman and not because she is inaccurately representing public office. You see what I'm saying? Because I would feel the same way if there were a man inside of a nightclub getting sloppy drunk, and he is a representative that we've elected and paying our tax dollars to, by the way, and he's in somebody's nightclub and now saying that he was raped, and that's the reason he was acting belligerent. I have the same response, you know what I mean? So for me, that's what I see as overly empowered. And I think that sometimes we say women's right, my body, my this, my that. I think that creates this dynamic where women start to feel like they could do, say, and dress and appear however it is that they want to, without anybody telling them that they have to account for the behaviors or the way that they show up, or some of the fallout that happens as a result of the way that they present themselves, right?
I also believe that it's the lack of support from the overall sisterhood. And I did a show talking about the sisterhood, and I asked my audience, do you believe that you should hold your sister accountable for said behavior? Oh, everybody in my audience said no, I would not do that. And I asked, so wow, you want us as men to hold our brothers accountable for their said behaviors, but why do y'all don't want to hold your sisters accountable? All of us said because it's not their business. Every last one. They said it's not their business. They don't want to be involved with it.
I have some interesting thoughts on that, but my list kind of, I think, speaks to that too. Speaks a bit to that. That's interesting. What do you think, Susan?
I just kind of remember this, and you can tell me what you think about when Whoopi Goldberg made that comment when what's his name hit his girlfriend, meet up his girlfriend in the elevator, and she said, "Woman should not be surprised. You can't hit a man and then feel he should not hit you back." And she was never saying it was okay. She was just saying, ladies, we need to take responsibility for our behavior. That's all she said. And she was off the show for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They give her a break.
I think we talked about that. We covered that on the show. Because I thought that was interesting.
I
So
did.
when a woman is trying to hold the woman accountable for her actions that cause a reaction from somebody else, you don't have the right to hit somebody. You don't have the right to put your hands on somebody. Who do you think you are?
Right.
And
And
then,
that's
oh, he's
it.
not going to react. So here's my thing. If I hit you and I am a woman and I am so rested in my femininity, but baby, please believe I can come out of it at any point. If I come out of it. If I come out of it, I'm ready to be out of it. That's the reality. I am ready to be out of it. Hit me back. Let's see how it work out.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess we both gonna find out.
Two things to show you.
So, but that's my thing. Like you gotta be. When I say like you can't talk about it, you gotta be about it. So you can't hit somebody if you're not ready for them to hit you back. You can't say negative things to somebody if you're not ready for them to slice you like a sword with their words as well. You just can't. It's illogical. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Naturally.
And the overly empowerment is about when a woman does something and a man reacts, sometimes appropriately, that we then start to talk about this is a female and female are not strong as men and they're weaker. And it's like, take responsibility. We need to take responsibility for the things we see and the things we do, because most of the time we do it purposely. We really do it with an intent to hurt.
That's true. That's true.
My list has some of that. You better send me my list. I can't find my list anyway, Dr. Jefferson.
Okay, absolutely.
But that's some of the things, it's pet peeve that I really see women do that I struggle with trying to understand why that's other women think it's okay.
Okay, so our next talking point, Sue, I'll let you introduce it.
So, do modern day women hate modern day men? I don't know if the word is hate. I think it ties in with the two of you are smiling. I think it ties in with the overly empowered women that they are entitled to stay and do what they want and to tell men what they think and feel, and he should humble himself to whatever they say and whatever they do. And if he doesn't, he's going to get the tongue. They're going to tell him. Absolutely. And I don't know. And if that's what people think is hate, then maybe that's what it is. But I think the modern day woman no longer wants the man to tell her how to be, what to do, what to say, where to walk, how to dress, what to do with her money. None of that stuff. And that has created a lot of friction between men and women and relationships and between families. And if you've got a mom who agrees with you responding that way to a man, then you are more empowered to do it. And I don't think it's hate, but I think it's disrespect. And that's a different level. For me, I see it as very different, because hate really is an intense word, and I don't think it's hate. I just really believe that it's tied up in the entitlement of I can do whatever I want to do, and you can't tell me anything. Bottom line.
I like to explain. So there are every human being has two primary emotions: congruence and incongruence. Mm-hmm. There are powerful emotional responses that are also on the opposite sides of the continuum. There's love and there's hate. People say there is a thin line between the two because they're segue into one another. They're opposite sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. So hate is just love with a tremendous amount of disappointment and pain associated with it from someone that you trusted to do a certain thing and they let you down. And the way we think about it, sometimes we look at the word hate and we have associated so much negative connotation with it that it's now difficult for us as human beings to then just call a thing a thing. I personally am a person that believes in calling a thing a thing. It's important because we can't fix a thing unless we acknowledge that the thing is what it is. And in acknowledging it, it allows us to explore it on a deeper level. So when I look at the realities of modern day women, especially in Black culture, I am going to go out on a limb and I'm going to call a thing. Modern day women do hate modern day men in the subculture of Black America, because they've loved on these men. Their grandmothers have loved on these men. Their great grandmothers have loved on these men. Their mothers, they've watched their mothers love on these men who showed up and beat them, disrespected them, cheated on them, drugged them in the mud, say they wasn't the daddy, shamed them in the streets. All these things that have happened to their mothers in front of them that they've been able to take a hard look at while it's been done. And I think that those women are so hurt. They are so broken down. They are so traumatized that the hatred that they have for their Black man is the only thing that they have for their Black man, because underneath it is still love and invisible loyalty to that Black man. And that is the reason they react so strongly towards other groups of women when Black men start saying, oh, well, I'm going to divest. I'm going to go get me a wife from this country. I'm going to go get me a wife from this country, because guess what? You don't know how to fit in, or you don't know how to align yourself into your femininity in a way that it's soft and it's cooperative and it shows that you're emotionally healthy and fit to receive me as your king. You won't crown me, right? Without understanding how it is that he stepped out of qualification for his crown. You understand what I mean? So it's that part of zero accountability. And I feel like that's the thing that is trickling down to more inaccountability when it comes to Black women, because they're like, well, if he won't be accountable, he's supposed to be my head. He's supposed to be the leader of this family. The hell make you think I need to be accountable? You got me all sorts of fucked up. He just beat my ass and y'all watched him and nobody said nothing. Nobody called the police. And when I called the police, they told me I had to stay here, because at the end of the day, if I ain't gonna leave him, ain't no need of filing a report. That woman stays, not because she has to stay, because there are a ton of shelters out here, okay? There are streets and corners and bridges unattained. Okay, unoccupied. There are friends that they could go to. There are a ton of options for those women. But you know why they stay? Because regardless of what inside of them maintains that invisible loyalty to that man, they're still connected. And a woman at the core of her knows nothing but love. That is the thing about us as women. And that's the reason that we were appointed to be the nurturers. We were appointed to be the people that were given the gift of discernment. That's the whole foundation of what woman and who woman truly is underneath all of the stuff that we see in the presentation of the behaviors of modern day women. So when we ask that question, I think that we do have to take a realistic look at it and call a thing a thing.
So is it dislike? Is it really hate or just dislike?
It's hate. Dislike is it moves away from the love one has. Hatred means that there is a expectation associated with who and how you know this thing, this person, this element to be, right? And that expectation goes unmet for so long, and it's a slap in the face, because you feel entitled to what you expect. So if woman never expected and never felt entitled to a man showing up as a man, then a woman would never have hate. She would have dislike, because she don't know that man. Dislike is what we have for the people who call us a nigger with the hard R, because those white people don't know us. They are not of us. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have a right to expect anything out of them, essentially, because we don't know them either. You know what I mean? So the reality is, when you had your slave great grandmother raise these little white children, and then when these little white children became now the new slave owner, and then they looked at her and called her that, that was hate, because she had a personal relationship and a personal reason, rationale as to why it is that she expected so much love and respect out of that young boy. You know what I mean? That now became a man who now looks just like the previous oppressions that came before him. You see what I'm saying? So it's different when there's a distal approach to take, other cultures of women can always say they dislike the way that black men come into their cultures, thinking they can snatch up a woman, a wife, and take them back to America, promise them citizenship, and do this, blah, blah, blah. They can dislike us. They can dislike our black men, but they can't hate them and they can't hate us because they don't know us and we are not of them. No matter how much black people want to say, oh, well, I'm going back to my roots in Africa. You a lie.
That's not your roots.
What roots? What them roots at? Girl, they so far planted, so old, and they don't even know you. You so deluded that you ain't even of them. So at the end of the day, I think there is a piece of us that has to acknowledge the truth behind the emotion and the emotional responses that we see kind of coming through the behaviors of black women as they've lost themselves because our black men, as the head of our households, head of our culture, has lost himself. So he no longer stands there looking like a force, looking like a king, crown, beautiful, shining, glowing, all those things that we equated previously with what we adored and loved so much in our black man. So
there's a level of discipline and him not being able to show up. Well, we expect.
Quick question. Is there a point of hatred where it's a point of no return for women? Does Zappa want to use the 4B movement and for the being the middle? Because both of these said groups, they both said that they had a point of no return where they don't want to have nothing to do with men, period. They just want to live on the island by themselves, just be free to do what they want to do. They don't want to procreate. They don't want to do none of that. So what would y'all think about that?
My list. I don't want to get into my list, but I will say that speaks to one of the things that is in my list when we start talking about the traumatization and the effect, the lineage of trauma and the effect of it, kind of like that ripple effect of trauma, and the way that we respond with pseudo confidence, but we don't have true confidence. Yes, those people say those things, but let me tell you what their mama looked like. Let me tell you what their daddy looked like. You know what they look like? They look like them black people they say they're gonna divest from. And you want to know what? Their heart hurts. It bleeds when their mama died. So that tells you that they're telling a lie. They daddy died. It tells you they telling a lie. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I get that people respond from a hurt place and we say things because we're in the height of our emotion, and we have to own that. I think that comes in ownership. Trauma is a real thing. When you start thinking about it, in the language that we use in clinical language, right? In therapy, we try to draw the line of delineation between stressful events, high stress events, and trauma, because trauma involves only life-threatening or life-ending, life-altering events. Okay, with stress, it's stuff that makes us feel heavily, a lot of emotion, a tremendous of fear, but not to the point where we think that life and legacy is affected. Legacy is directly affected. The life of our black line is affected when we start thinking about what we hear from our black men. When we hear our black man say, I'm divesting, I'm done, I'm finished. When that black man hears from his black women, I refuse, I ain't doing it, I don't need you, you ain't shit. Like those things, right? Those are the things that create trauma in both said black men, black women. And the reality is we have to own that. Yeah, we're gonna remove what appears to be emotion, and we're gonna respond from emotional place. And you know what, you don't like me, I don't like you either. But that's BS.
Yeah, I agree with both of y'all response about the term hate, because I see hate as love too. It does, all of this is just love, where people is just hurting from one another. They hurt it through all the disappointment and things like that. All of us have been through it. I done been through it. Y'all done been through it. But it's the whole point of just coping through it and just, you know what I'm saying? That comes back to what I was asking earlier about the sisterhood, holding each other accountable and helping each other cope through it. I know without a shadow of doubt that the brotherhood, we do this all the time for each other. When we see one of us there, we'll do our very best to help that brother, uplift that brother. If he wants the help, we'll do our very best to mentor and do everything possible to bring that brother up to the level or to the desired level that he need to be. But however, with the sisterhood, it's totally different. where
Really?
that's
Mm.
yeah, it does. One sister could shout out, "Hey, you need to change." The whole entire sisterhood ended up going against that one sister, telling her that she's wrong. You don't need to be in my business. You don't understand the pain and drama that you've been through. You just say,
Mm.
"Oh, well, oh, you're a pick me. Yeah, you're a pick me," and all these other negative things.
Mm.
Well, does that say that men have more respect for the leadership of a man than women have for the leadership of a woman?
I agree.
Mm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Anything you want
And,
to add?
it also depends on the type of leadership as well too. If you're dealing with a man that you could tell that he's a stand up guy, he's not out there to try to disrespect you nor trying to get you, then men normally will open up to that other man and show him that same level of respect, and they will want to, be part of that social economical status with that man. I believe that was one of the reasons why Kevin Samuels was as popular as he was for that. Even though some of the things he said we all could agree it wasn't good. Other things he said it was great, you know what I'm saying? But overall he just had that type of social economical standing where men respected him and they
Well, it took
gravitated
him,
towards
He
that.
it
portrayed
took him
like
a long time to get there because when we look at the beginning of so I saw his initial content and I saw his content after his blow up. Men did not respect his authority because they saw him for what he was. He was low on the totem pole and he didn't live a life that said, I want to be like that guy. He lived the opposite of that life initially. When he learned and was influenced by other men that he tried to be more like, when he changed himself, the world jumped on him for the negative things that he said towards women first. They
Mhm.
still shunned him for the negative things he said on men first. And then slowly, as he expanded upon his understanding and then some of the language that he spoke in some of his content, I feel like men really jumped on it because mainly because they were hoping that he was going to maintain and hold on to the illogical base of women and their delusion. Because most of the women who called him, first of all, let me make this clear: there is no woman in this world that is single and confident and fit for a relationship and her ERCS. And if you guys don't know what ERCS is, go find the video. It's an emotional relational credit score. There is a system and an explanation as to how it is you rate yours on that video. But if you have a woman with a high standing on her ERCS and she up here 750, 800, 859, there, right? There is no way that she calls Kevin Samuels for dating advice or what she needs to do,
Right.
regardless of how many kids she has and the illogical presentation that he says high value is, because she knows her value and her worth. And just
Absolutely, I agree.
Right.
from some
Right.
person who's on YouTube trying to make a living because he failed to do so in his regular life. And I mean, hey, I ain't saying it posthumously. I said it when the man was alive, so it is what it is, and I stand on business with that. But my thing is, you got to be realistic about what it is that you want. Now, I'm not saying that he was wrong for checking some of those females, but some of them,
Yeah, you gotta
He
admit it.
said
That was off the chain.
Yeah, he said things that men were probably thinking but didn't say out loud.
no, it's plenty of men that were saying it out loud before him.
So he validated them.
But you, Dr. Jefferson, you also made a point too that you said earlier through Kevin Samuels' career, he was out there. People really didn't too much respect him, but when he started gravitating towards other men that he wanted to emulate, that's the point that I was making earlier about how men respect other men. They'll see a certain type of man who's at the level where they desire to be at, and they start emulating that man because they respect that man. Not because they say they want his money or anything like that. They honestly respect that man and they want to emulate how the way he is. So they start
The way that
changing
he
themselves, they
presented
start
himself.
evolving.
He
So
presented.
presented himself, okay?
Hmm.
So here is the thing: Kevin Samuel died broke, and somebody else had to crowdfund and crowdsource his funeral. So the reality is, he may have presented himself as that on social media. He may have presented himself as together on social media, But that
That's
wasn't
not
his
who he
reality.
was.
When it came time to find somebody that was his next of kin, when he was pronounced deceased in that hospital here in Atlanta, there was a very difficult task. I'm just going to say that. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. If he was really positioned in the way that he spoke that he was, his life ending would not have been the way it was, right? So the thing is, you're on social media and you're saying that women are going to die alone, this kind of thing. What happens to you, I think, is a direct result of how it is that you speak negatively against what God's created to do with certain things, right? And that's procreate and continue what do you call the essence of humanity?
Mm.
You know, the expansion of humanity is supposed to be a collaborative thing. Men are supposed to lead it. Women are supposed to follow and produce it. So it's just like, I just feel like we have to be careful about how it is that we encourage, what we encourage, when we encourage on social media. Because I think we have to be mindful of our choices, our words, our deeds in life in general, right? So let's move on. Let's talk about the cross-cultural impact of social influence. I think we're already there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so when you talk about MGTOW, you talk about men and women moving away from each other, divesting from commitments in marriage. In America, Western culture does have a huge impact on the rest of the world. What do you guys think is the cross-cultural impact of passport bros? Black men deciding to divest from the idea of marriage to Black women?
So I take this one. This goes back to the previous topic about hate, and we all defined that hate is nothing more the opposite of love, of disappointment. So a lot of black men, whether they young or old, middle, or whatever the case may be, right? They had experienced these said type of modern day women where
Mm-hmm.
they disappointed them. They dropped the ball. They was looking for a certain type of expectation from them, but they didn't get it. Um, then to top it off, right? They end up on choosing the more or less desirables, meaning that they go for the Pookies and Ray Rays, or they'll try to go for the high class man, which is the athletes or the actors, the different things like that, and they just leave the average man out, cut and dry. And so they end up either procreating with the Pookies or Ray Rays or these high end men. Then these men end up disappointing them and hating them, and then they finally come back to the average guy having an expectation that they want this dude to be a stepfather to their children. So these type of men got tired of that and said, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and divest from every woman in America. I'm just gonna find a single woman in another country. That's where they at. So that's how it's a pet.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair.
it's interesting because I think the black man in America is just fed up with how woman talks to them and treats them. And there is this belief that women outside of America are more submissive, more likely to follow your lead, more likely to allow you to lead. And that's what black to some degree, that's what Black American men is looking for. They are not going. The assumption is that a white woman, Caucasian woman, would not be arguing with them the way a black woman would not be in their face pointing.
They
I mean,
say African women too. They say African women too. I hope one man comes on here and sees this show. I should have shared it with him. But it's interesting. It's interesting because they're an African run platform. And I'm on that platform actually quite often. And the thing is, like their mindsets around those assumptions that black men make of their women, it's interesting to me. When you see African culture, it's shaped now so much to mimic what you see in Western culture.
It is.
It
It
is.
is.
Yeah. And you talk about the spiciness of a woman.
But I
You gonna
still
learn
think Black American men think that white women are more submissive and more compliant and less argumentative because that's how they perceive American women are, and they're just sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired of going to work every day, come home, and
Mhm.
she's like this in my head. And when I
Mhm.
come home with a white woman, I have somebody who says, "Honey, how was your day?" And tell me about your day. And so they're digressing to get somebody who's more calmer, more compliant, less argumentative. They want peace. Literally, black men kind of want, because I think some of these men have had other men in their life who kind of given them some information about what the traditional men, some history about that. And those are the guys who's like, okay, I'm not getting that from American, a black American woman at all. No, sir. I need to look somewhere else. They just, I think, somebody, if somebody hates somebody, it might be the black American man hates black woman attitude. It's just talking about the hate. I think that's where the hate is. And they are going to go find it somewhere else. And that's what happens. They move.
Yeah, I want to add on to the part where you said about peace. It's not only about peace with men, but it's also about respect too.
Yeah. And loyalty.
Respecting his boundaries. Respect also translate into trust as well too. Trust in what he's doing for you, and I
Mm.
believe that it's a lack of that. So, yeah.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Yes.
So, do you think that respect is should be given without being earned, or do you think that to a certain extent people have to earn respect?
I believe that people have to earn respect. I believe that you have to put yourself in a certain position to where that person must trust you. Like say for example, if we go out into the job market, right? We put our trust and respect in the leaders who are over us, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Of that position or that company. If they're doing anything that's going to take away our trust, like such as violates certain company laws and policies and different like that, we're no longer going to trust that leader. And guess what's going to happen? We're going to divest from that company and go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else where we feel appreciated. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that same concept applies to relationships as well too. If that man is doing his best to earn that trust to that woman, that she's not going to go nowhere. Also, she's going to, in return, she's going to give that same level of trust and respect back to that man.
Okay, so it's kind of like the idea of even submission, because women don't just naturally submit. It's an urge that
Mm-hmm.
happens inside of a woman when she's in the company of a man that just is deserving of it. Like a
Mm-hmm.
woman knows a man that's a highly esteemed man, and it's not just because of his dollars that he makes and cents,
Mm-hmm.
but a woman just it's like a thing that we get the inclination for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You feel
And
safe
then
with.
submission just comes. Like it's never a battle. It's never something that you have to combat. It's just it's natural. It happens because you trust them. You trust them. You know they've demonstrated that they're worthy of that level of submission. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that women who struggle with submission have to realize that they have to take accountability that maybe they've made a mistake in the choice that they've selected for themselves or elected as their husband. So as we're moving on, the question now is the marriage worth the investment as we look at it being beneficial now to women? I know that on Tuesday show we looked at it from the perspective of whether or not it, if it's worth the investment for men. But now I know now we want to at least have the discussion. Is marriage worth the investment for women in modern day society now? What do you guys think? Urban, you take it since you're on already.
Oh, hold on. Give one moment. I'm gonna sit up here doing this real quick. Susan can
Okay.
take it real quick. I'll come back.
Is
Okay.
marriage worth the investment for women? I mean, I think you kind of, you see, I come from a different culture and a different upbringing. And as long as I've lived here, I've always kind of tried to hold on to my culture and my upbringing. So if I look at it through my Caribbean lens, to some degree, marriage is worth the investment, because it's what it does is allow you to spiritually connect with someone in a way that um, I think a God of our understanding has designed it to be. Um, I think it's different in America. Woman does not no longer sees marriage as an investment, and I think that's why there's as much divorce as there is, because things have, women are making enough money to take care of themselves and their children, and as such, they don't need a man to be able to fulfill that role. And you can be in a relationship for as long as you want, and then you can move on. You can let that go, and you can always, because we are the prize, right? So there's always going to be somebody there who's willing to step in. So I think they are, and I think men sees that too, and that's why they digress to find other women in other cultures, because they're looking for that level of companionship, and to be with somebody who they matter to. And as we talked about the fact, you talk about how women hate the American man. The men see that too. They see that they are not loved, appreciated, and respected, and they see that even in their relationship and their marriage, that they're not. And I clearly think American women do not see marriage as worth the investment. No.
Okay. So, Kale, do you think that for American women, marriage is worth the investment? Do you think that it's a noteworthy investment for women?
I think it's a noteworthy investment for marriage
For men.
if you marry the right person. That's what it all comes down to. That's the real investment. The marriage is nothing without the two people that marry together that invest in each other. That's the investment for me. I mean, right?
So in his mindset, it's based on the person the woman marries, essentially.
Right.
I think that's an interesting consideration, because essentially we do, if we marry the right way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if we marry with the intention of building, right? And the person that we've married is a great person for us to build with. If there is compatibility there, I do think it becomes worth the investment. But I think that when people marry and then they don't see a person, they don't see what they expected. Okay.
Yeah. That too.
If they don't see that their investment or their expectation of said investment is worth it, they don't think that the person they picked is worthy. I don't think that people will show up. I don't think they'll show up as their authentic self. And I don't think that they will continue to invest in the process of building, because they don't see the potential for a return. You see what I'm saying? I think that now
they dated marriage right there. People have a time for things like your family take time.
right.
People you got 10 or 15 like your family. It takes 20 years for your return.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing in life. It takes 20 years for your marriage to be where it gotta go.
You think so?
To put it right.
What did he say?
He said take 20. He said take 20.
It takes.
I heard him.
Oh no! Wait, I missed that. What did he say? It takes what?
Yeah.
He said it take 20 years for your marriage to get somewhere. Shit.
Those first few years is critical. Are you kidding me? That first year, those first 3 years, 7 years.
I'll say the first 5 to 7. Shoot, he said forget that 20.
Yeah.
No, you're not leaving at 20.
So he's saying to see the full investment of your return.
Like you invest in your IRA, your bank account, whatever. It takes a while for things to cash in.
Okay.
5, 7
I'm
years.
okay with my bank account maturing over the course of that time and not giving me my full, for the withdrawal. But I'm not okay. I'm not okay with my marriage taking so much slow progress, and in 20 years we just not looking like, I do think I married well.
To see the full potential of it, it takes about that long.
Shit. If I don't see the full potential in 5 years, there won't be a 10. If I don't see it in 10 years, there definitely won't be a 15.
That's right.
Be 5, 10.
I'm reassessing.
That's how you get there.
I believe in divorce. Hold on.
Yep, I do too.
Okay, Urban. But
you know, we kind of marry the person we think that we never, you know, a lot of the times we marry this person who we have this belief that they are what we think they are, and as the marriage go on, we realize that we had on rose colored glasses all along. That's sometimes disappointing.
So for me, I think the way that I think, right? Hey, Selena, how are you? I marry potential. I believe in marrying potential. Okay. I have 4 adult daughters. I want my daughters to marry the potential of the man that they're marrying. I want them to pair themselves to a man or a woman if they choose to pair themselves with a woman who has the potential exponentially to add value to them over time. I want them to invest in love. I want them to invest in empowerment and growth and prosperity. I want all of that, right? Because that's the way I marry. That's the way that I think. That's my mindset around alignment. You know what I mean? I don't want to be halfway in and halfway out where I'm thinking and considering divorce in 3 to 5, right? 3 to 5 like we're doing jail time. But still, that is the way that I think. I think that marriage becomes worth the investment when you can see what you are investing in within 3 years, maturing a little bit. You can see a little growth because if you marry the potential of a person, because here's the reality. If people are getting married young, and I married young, okay, I'll come from the mindset what most people consider traditional mindset where you don't have sex until you marry. And it's just the understanding. It ain't that you gotta, it ain't hard to even doing it because you ain't even thinking about it, right?
Right.
So my thing is, while I don't believe that that's true for modern day women, and I don't think that they come from that belief system, I do heavily believe that we still marry what we hope our partners can achieve with us.
Absolutely.
We marry an idea. So what do you guys think? You guys let me know whether you guys think marriage is worth the investment for modern day women. And hopefully you're doing well, Selena. Welcome to the show. We do appreciate you viewing. So tell me what you guys think. So you say it's worth the investment if she don't wait for 20 years.
Right. 20 years. People 2 or 3 and 20 years. That's how your marriage gonna be. A big full-grown blossoming, ever-loving tree.
Well, my garden blossoms within the season I plant the seeds.
Oh no, you've got some plants now blossom in 3 years later.
Yeah, I got some that didn't. You know, I've learned a little patience, but they still ain't take 20 years. They gave me a return before 3.
Patience investment. That's when you invest in patience. That's it. It's patience to watch that thing grow 5 years is bigger, 10 years is bigger.
Yeah, so watching it grow. So
matter.
it's gonna show me some growth in 2 years.
I'll show you growth every year.
Oh, okay, good.
I get 20 years, show you growth every year. 20 years
Well,
is where it's full grown in. You're married full grown.
Yeah, it's gonna be full grown and
before 20 years, we said they put it going to that though.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Well, 40 years, 50 years.
Well, that's because they saw growth before 20 years.
No, he
said how you think people stay together 40 to 60 years. No, but seriously, I don't know. I think that marriage becomes worth the investment when we look at the other person that we've married and we see that they're pouring into our relationship in the same way, or sometimes more than what we find ourselves pouring into our relationship. I think that's essentially that's what it's about.
I'm ready to give you my list.
You ready? We're almost there. Oh, we're almost there. Why you playing?
Okay, right about now.
Okay.
Y'all black women.
So we're at this point where we talk about what's on our list. So we'll start with Kale since he's already ready. Not my list.
Nah.
Where's the woman? Is there someone else on? Who is that Cal? Is that picture of Cal?
That's somebody else.
Who's okay.
And that
There's
black-
somebody's
That's
on.
Urban.
Is that him? Okay.
Yeah.
He's got okay.
So we'll go with Kel first. Here, take the mic. You'll have to hold it.
Okay, can everybody hear me out there?
Yep. Still.
Can
no
hear
hold.
you. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. What's the topic again, right?
Sorry about you guys. Ears.
So the list is what? What? Let's tell people what is the list on.
Okay, so as we have discussed that this show is about, just like we had the show on Tuesday where we explored a couple of things that we would like to see in men shape up. Men, the 5 things that we would like for men to stop doing or begin doing. We need, in 2024 immediately, so that we can come together, okay, and collaboratively create a more productive subculture of Black America. This list now targets the things that we've identified are definite things that we would like to see Black women now take accountability for, show up differently in certain ways, and stop doing or begin doing in the year of 2020 right now, 2024. Okay, so this is what's on Kel's list. Kel, explain to us whether or not you're picking things you want women to start doing or stop doing.
It may be a list of a kind of
Okay.
combination of both.
Okay, start with the stop doing.
Okay. All right. I don't have 5 and 5, but I got
It's
5.
okay.
Okay, I got stop. Okay, my first stop being so controlling and so not being so never satisfied.
Okay.
And my second stop trying to be so right all the time.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this one right here, stop being so verbally abusive.
Okay.
Okay.
Then my start dressing more appropriately so you won't get unwarranted people looking at you or doing things you don't feel appropriate. When you look like that, they gonna come to you like that.
Okay.
And I got this, support your man and stop putting them down.
So it's kind of like a twofer. So
Yeah.
6. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
let's run it down again.
I
You
got
said-
another one now.
Okay.
And be
Okay.
more responsive to your kids in public.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I got the last one. Bring back real motherhood.
So that's about 8.
9.
9.
That's my list.
Class at 9. So women, you guys got Kel's list. So you want to go, Sue? Or you want me
Okay.
to go? Okay.
So I say stop emasculating men. Men are not punching bags. If a man says or does something in your interaction with him that doesn't feel okay, doesn't sound okay, you have a right to say so. You don't really have a right to tell him he's not a man, you're not good in bed, you suck, you blah blah blah, I make more money than you, the whole you're not a good father, you're not a good dad. That's actually really abusive. It's
So speaking her truth, if he sucks in bed, she's supposed to keep it to herself. We want to go back.
No. It doesn't come in when you are arguing with him because he says or did something you don't
have
like.
a right to have the discussion. Just don't say it when you're arguing.
Because when you're angry,
use it as a weapon of
it's
choice.
malicious. It's designed to hurt. You are hurt,
Right.
so you want him to
Don't
feel how
weaponize
you
the
feel.
word.
So you're gonna say the kind of things that will make him feel as hurt as you do. That's not okay.
That's true.
My second one is dress appropriately. You don't have to hang everything out to be sexy. Actually, the more you cover up, and you can
The
put
more
it,
is left to suggestion.
yeah, but the more you cover, and you can have it a little close on you, like tight stuff. But the more you cover up, the sexier you look. I think so, and I think some men might agree, because the more you hang out those private parts, I think the more you will hear stuff like you cheap, she's easy, that kind of stuff. Men will approach you, and maybe that's what you want, but their approach is not the intent to get to know you, but to maybe be sexually involved with you. Dress appropriately. Learn to support women instead of tearing one another down. When really, I think we talked about this earlier in terms of the sisterhood.
Mhm.
It's support women support your friend when she's doing stuff. Tell her it's really okay to tell your girlfriend, I love you today. It's you look really great. I'm sorry you're going through whatever you're going through. It's okay to say that stuff. I mean it, and it's not okay to say stuff like that, but then goes behind her back with another friend and say other things. That's really not okay. I mean, what are you doing? So that's what am I on number 3? Stop trying to be right all the time. And you're absolutely right, Kel. At the level of control doesn't have to happen. You control you. You can't control anybody else. When you're trying to control somebody else, you clearly out of control. Stop trying to be right. Stop trying to control folks. Let people be who they are. People are people. You can't change people. You can't fix people. You just have to be able to set limits and set boundaries when they do stuff that doesn't feel when they're trying to cross your boundaries. It's okay to set a limit. You don't have to try to control folks. Let's see. What's that?
So,
3?
I would say expand on that, but I got that on my list, so I'll expand on it.
Well, but the boundaries are important because you've got to be able to let people know how far they can go with you, right? In terms of how they say and do stuff. But you don't have to try to control people in terms of telling them it's not okay to do this. It's not okay to say. You have to allow people to be who they are, and I think sometimes, not sometimes, but if you allow people to be who they are, they may be able to.
Be away from
more
you.
respectful. They might be. What did you say?
Be away from you.
But then you make that decision if he or she is.
Well, he or
really,
she, if they cross your boundaries, but that's on my list. I'll
yeah,
expand.
if
Because
they
that
are,
is that's
you
the
make
point of
decisions.
contention.
You
Right,
can
for
make
many
decisions
people.
about whether they need to continue to be in your circle.
Mhm.
Right. Let's see. Get to know yourself in a way that allows you to value personal view of self over the outside perspective of you. You are beautiful, wonderful, caring just the way you are. You don't have to identify who you are based on what people say about you. You need to love yourself such that you can stand any way you are, deal with disappointments, deal with whatever that's going on for you, and still feel okay about yourself. You matter. You are the way you are, the way God created you. There's no other you. So what is important for you to know is that you are your own universe. You are important. People's expectation, the things people say about you is just their opinion. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So your self-esteem should not be tied to how people describe you, what people say about you. They're entitled to do that. They could say whatever they want. That doesn't mean it's true. You don't have to believe their perception. Because if you know you okay, if you are spiritually connected to a God of your understanding, people can't hurt your feelings. You know that old saying about sticks and stones may break my bones? Well, spiritually, if you're spiritually connected, the words wouldn't hurt you. So those are my 5.
Okay. So Urban is gonna have to leave, and I'm gonna encourage him to type his responses or his list if he gets the opportunity to while he's offline into the chat, so that we're still able to see kind of what the things are that he's come up with, because we all kind of did our due diligence, did come up with our things that are on our list separately in between the last show.
And it's important for him to share. Mm-hmm.
I think I remember Constance's name as well, though. How are you? But so, also in the chat, you guys go ahead and start typing up the list of things that you feel like women need to either start doing in 2024 or stop doing in order to continue the legacy of the subculture of Black America, in your opinion. Definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. So let's go to
your 5.
My list. Let's see, where am I? Here I am. Okay. Okay. So my list is, well, gosh, it's small, you guys. Okay, so the first thing that I think that women need to divest from is living without boundaries in an attempt to even the score with men, because what I see is many women do not have boundaries, and they'll do whatever it takes for them to create a space where they can now say men do it, or men did it, or he did it. Nobody else said that I needed to have a shirt on until men said I needed to have a shirt. Nobody said I needed to have a bra on until men started saying if I dress like this, then that's what this does. Right? So they see those things as oppressive components, and then they're fighting that idea with and justifying their being out here braless, revealing everything with the fact of feminist movement, says that women have the right to. This is my body. Just because I dress like this, you don't have the right to look at me, judge me, touch me.
That kind of like the same thing you're saying, like men, that's like women, so they do it now too. So it's like doing the same thing.
All of it is the same. So even in the store,
you trouble to undermine the black family from the inside out, like by doing that. It creates the whole system of their functionality.
Right. Yeah, I do believe that. I feel like if you are, even if you're doing what you're doing and you're living a boundless life, you're not setting boundaries. And, we spoke to that with Susanna's comment. The thing is, what I see in this society of people is a tremendous amount of people who will refuse to take accountability. The women oftentimes do not have boundaries, and they don't have these boundaries because men have invalidated their having boundaries previously and telling them that, okay, if you're doing this, you're being a narcissist. If you're doing this, you're being controlling. If you're doing this, you're trying to change me. Some of the things that both of you spoke to be honest. The reality is a woman with boundaries is not trying to control you. She's taking control of her circumstances and her outcomes in life. If a woman has boundaries don't align with what you do in your life, move on. Move on. Keep your comments to yourself. You don't have to tell her how it is that she's a bad person. You don't have to tell her like that she ain't all that anyway. You don't have to tell her any of those negative things because at the end of the day, it does not matter. None of those things matter because her boundaries are still her boundaries. And if you're not qualified, unseat yourself, sir. Bye. It's okay for you to listen and see that a woman has boundaries. And women, it's okay for you to have boundaries. Do not allow a man in his toxic masculinity to move you off your square. Be intentional about how you do in your life, how you move in your life, how you plan in your life, how you groove in your life. So if you want to have sex with whomever you want to have sex with, it's your body, it's your choice. You can do what you want to do. But you don't have to publicize all of that. You don't have to go out there and be in direct competition with a man. Satisfying your urges is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that you're a bad person because you're having sex with multiple people or dating multiple people. What I'm asking for is a little bit more transparency for you guys to be careful out there and to be responsible with your reproductive health. So utilize protection. Don't leave it on the man. I know that Susanna is of the mindset of thinking the man needs to take some responsibility in the reproduction component. I think women are 100% the ones in control of that. Women always deny men rights when it comes to deciding whether or not they keep a pregnancy. So I think it's on women to take care of the reproductive responsibility and decide to use a condom. Force a man to use a condom because you're not only advocating for the negation of reproduction, but you're also advocating for your physical health because the reality is we live in a society where sex is a casual thing. It's like walking to the damn grocery store. I'm all right with it if you are all right with it. Let's get naked. We know our parts before we know the people and their persona. However, you have to do so responsibly because it says that you value yourself and the amount of respect that you have for yourself and the boundaries you have for yourself are not because somebody else said this or did that, but it's because you defined yourself to be this person. You wanted this thing for yourself. So that's why I feel like it's really important that women stop living boundless and stop trying to even the score with men. The next one that's on my list is women need to stop invalidating men that do not bend to their will. Because here's the reality. Just like I said, men need to stop doing that. This is not a game of tit for tat.
Mm-hmm.
Because a person is not your cup of tea doesn't mean that you have to call them anything but a child of God and bid them adieu. If a man does not do what you need him to do, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe in showing people with my action the impact of the value that I have for myself. And I think that young women need to be reminded of that sometimes. It's important that your actions show that you're intolerant, that you're not constantly going over and over having the same conversation, looking like you're an insane person, expecting this man to align and do something in a different way when he doesn't have the capacity to.
Capacity. Yeah.
You may have misread his capacity. Maybe he is
Mhm.
the man that you thought he could be. Okay? And that's okay. Acknowledging that we are wrong is a part of the process of growth and maturation. We learned a lesson, let's keep it moving. Okay? That for me, there is power in us truly understanding the magnitude of the affect that we build with people and how it affects our persona, who we are as people and the way that we move in this life, and then doing something with that, right? That understanding. So my next one is to deal with their trauma. I want women to deal with their trauma in lieu of investing in band-aids, like cosmetic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And ladies, I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this. I get it. Don't come to me with the smoke because I ain't sent for you. But just know who you coming for. Okay? I'm okay with you doing whatever you want to do for yourself. But the thing is, you can't see when you got them super long eyelashes on. Your ass is gonna be hurting when you got that cement hardening in them BBLs.
Mm.
You're going to be in a world of pain when you're going inside of somebody's ER because you had a ruptured boob or a ruptured ass cheek. And then the reality is your legs don't match. I don't care what Dr. Asby Bigger told you. It just, the math is not mathing with the computation of your body's alignment. And then that stuff sags over time and it just looks worse, worse, and worse for wear. I mean, gravity has never skipped over any of us.
Mm-mm.
It never has. We're all going to be victims of gravity one day. Ask yourself how you want yours to look. And I get it. These young people nowadays, y'all don't even think about living past 30. I've heard,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get it in therapy all the time, but let me tell you, you will regret having to look at that ass that you dragging and it's sagging and causing more back pain for you over time. I naturally am gifted with all of the things that y'all BBLing. And I'm telling you, it's a struggle every day. So imagine what it looks like when it's really not yours, but it's just now dragging the floor attached to what is yours. It's now sagging too. I can't even fathom it. I'd love to have bigger boobs, but guess what? Nobody is about to plastic surgery me. I just can't do it. You're doing unnecessary surgery. Be happy with the body that God gave you, and if you want more, pray for more, and just be careful what you ask for, because He might make
potted bar. Buy those potted bars and lift up. Lift and separate. Okay. Give the appearance of the bigger.
All right. So deal with your trauma. Address the things that your fathers, your mothers, the exposure to the negative relationships, the negative people in your life have done to your sense of self. Okay. And then in the aftermath of dealing with that stuff, just invest in something that's permanent, like therapy versus surgery versus super long lashes and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Let's just do that. Because here's the reality. No man wants to wake up with something that he didn't anticipate. And I know a lot of men are like, oh, well, if you wear makeup, blah, blah, blah. I wear makeup, but I can guarantee you one thing. My natural face, which you see up there in my wonderful logo, my natural face and my makeup face are not far away from each other. They ain't sisters. They twins. They twins that came in the same set. So if you don't look like what you look like before makeup, after makeup, you probably need to just divest. Don't leave it on. In Africa, they call it a makeover. And they really be doing makeovers. I just wanted to add that in there. But so moving on my list, my next one on my list is redefine self-respect, self-worth, self-value appropriately. So rethink some of the way that you guys respond and shape your ideals around the excessive makeup, the excessive false lashes, but also more importantly, your your worth and your value in a relationship. I know Kevin Samuels has told you guys all types of great things about how it is that your sexual marketplace matters and all that good stuff. That's not what makes you a great woman. But also to the fact, I think was the point that maybe he was trying to make before he died, having a PhD and an abundance of education is also not something that makes you a great woman. Having a character, right, that is worthy of leaving a legacy and another person deciding to invest in a legacy built around the framework of it, your character, the content of your character is what makes you worthy. And it's the impact that you leave on this earth that's worth something, right? I think that women need to redefine the way that we look at ourselves versus the way the world sees us, and allow the weight of how we see ourselves to carry us forward. Because when we start looking at the world and its reflection, and we start looking at its expectations of us, I think that that creates unrealistic ideation around what it means to be a woman. It also creates this space of vicarious trauma that we also oftentimes sit in, and it creates this cannot do attitude. And I would love for our women to empower themselves from the right positionings in order to be able to do things that actually matter when it comes to how it is that we're building our future moving forward. So don't just divest in from men because they make you feel a way. Be accountable for the things that they're saying. You know, I think Kale and Susanna both mentioned that what is it? Don't always feel like the need to be right, right? The reality is, and I'm gonna say it, God help me, I'm gonna say it. Women have never wanted to be right. Women have always wanted to be validated. Women have always wanted to be seen, and women have always wanted to be heard. Men weaponized that and made it women wanted to be right when man did not want to be held accountable. So I think that we have to embrace that, approach that, and call that a thing a thing. The reality is, when a man doesn't want to be held accountable, of course, he doesn't want to hear whether a woman is right or not. He wants to wait until it slaps him in the face and it blows up. And then everything is right there in front of him. He can't deny it then. And then he won't acknowledge that the woman was right. But he'll say off to the side, snickeringly, women always right. You prayed that on me. She ain't prayed nothing on you. She saw God's will and you didn't. Because God gave her the gift of discernment and not you. So a man has to learn to follow a woman's lead appropriately if he is to understand why it is that the woman is right when she is. I think women have always historically had a great history of accepting when she was wrong and repositioning herself and fixing her crown. Here recently, women only get shunned. And when women are correct and when women are right, you want to know what other women do? Because they've now sided with those same men that say, stop trying to be right all the time. They try to take that woman and tear that woman down by doxing her. That's what they do now on the internet. It's a form of bullying. You try to find all other reasons to invalidate the person because you can't argue the point that she's argued. Because the reality is she is right. I think we as women have to learn how to accurately support us and accurately correct us. And if a woman is wrong in her stance, in her position, in her thoughts, in her opinions, whatever it is, in her reflections, even the way she moves, in the sway of her hip, if you feel like she's wrong, have the conversation. Don't go to being a narcissist and try and find a group of people and band up, and gang up on the girl and then say, oh, you did this, so you must be this. When the two things don't even correlate. You know what I mean? Like I think for us to be people who support women and for women to make a serious amount of growth and prosperity, I think we have to accept the fact that we're not always right. But that's something that women have always known historically for ages. And because we've always known that we're not always right, women are always the ones that remain curious, and we're always the one that seek higher education. Why do you think women have all of these complex degrees? It says we never stop learning and we never feel like we're above being taught something. But you want to know who does not do that? Men.
Man,
Men.
Look, y'all don't want to think y'all
Men.
do it all and can't be told nothing.
Okay, well, why do men become complacent then? We make it. Women make men complacent.
Yeah.
No, we
Mm-mm.
make you comfortable.
No, we can't make you complacent.
No, we make you we make you comfortable. You become complacent. Because a woman's bosom accepts you as you are, because she's silent and subservient, seemingly, because she doesn't argue with you, because she follows you and submits to you, doesn't mean that she expects for you to become complacent. It means that she expects you to see her silence and subservience that appears to be on the surface what it is. She expects for you to see that as a sign of her respect, as a show of her support for you, so that you can go forth and be great to her. She doesn't want to tear you down. So I think that men have to learn that in order to embrace and bring about the softness in a woman, you have to learn how to submit to her authority given by the grace of God. You got to learn how to pray with that woman. You got to learn how to be with that woman. You got to learn how to appreciate that woman. And more of all, you got to learn how to love on that woman. Because the reality is, a Black woman will never divest from a Black man. As sad as it is to say, a Black man can beat her, tie her down, rape her, torture her. And in her mind and her heart of her hearts, a woman in the Black American race will never divest from her man. It's ingrained in us. It's like a transgenerational trauma of attachment, and we can't get away from it. Unfortunately, we got to call a thing a thing. But we will shout to the heavens and earth and beyond in the universe and say that we're going to leave and we hate you and you ain't shit. We'll do all of that. But the reality is, we'll always find a way to come back and show support for our Black man. And I think that we have to own that as Black women.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have to learn how to respect our inadequacies in the same way that we've learned to respect and operate in our dysfunction that is sort of healed when we do go to therapy, right? So if we learn to respect those inadequacies that are not yet in therapy or not yet healed, then we can maybe invite them for a conversation or a seat at the table when we are in healing spaces. And my last one is for women to be mothers and advocates of that position of a mother. And what that means is, instead of getting out here holding up picket signs and advocating for Roe versus Wade to be reinstated when it was never valid in the beginning because women never had rights at the point where that was argued, the Constitution wasn't written for women. So it can't be used to encourage or hold up abortion rights in the first place. I think that we need to advocate for women being mothers and showing up as mothers instead of vacating that position, running away from the responsibility, vying for the abortion line. I'm the first person in, vying for 15, 16, 17 abortions because she refuses to become a mother. I think what that means is we understand there are extenuating circumstances where abortion is necessary. But don't run away from your responsibility to show up as a mother, not a life producer. Because that's something you really can't run away from. But being a mother is a person who nurtures, who teaches, who responds to, who loves on, who teaches love, who teaches respect, teaches responsibility, who holds her children and the world around her accountable as she stands up, regardless of what the world may tell her, and she will fight for her Black man and her Black woman and for her culture and her subculture, regardless of how many times she gets the door slammed in her face. The force of a Black mother has been known and echoed through the halls of our history for ages. And I think that we have forgotten that. I think we moved away from that. And we no longer even know how to appreciate that. And I think that that's what women need to get back to, because once we get back to that, I think that we reinstate the value of what it means to be in the subculture of Black America. So that's my list.
Mm.
Y'all don't want the smoke. Hey, Liner, how are you? Hit the like and the subscribe button. Hit the like and the subscribe button. If you guys are new to this channel, we appreciate you guys taking out the time to watch our content today. And we are going to now move on from our list. Hopefully, Urban can drop his nuggets of his list of 5 for women. I don't know if he has more, but hopefully he can drop his afterwards. And we're going to move on to our final discussion topic, which is our relationship advice discussion. And y'all, let me tell you, hit the share button. Because this one is a unique one in and of itself. And also, don't forget to comment the things that you feel like women need to stop doing or invest in doing in 2024 moving forward in order to reshape the outcomes for Black America now. Okay? So let's get into this. Our relationship advice discussion comes from a 29-year-old female. She's been married for 6.5 years to a 31-year-old male. They are both of the Black American heritage. Okay. She says her husband got a paternity test on their 5-year-old daughter without consulting her, by the way. And after it came back negative,
Good God. He ain't the father.
the paternity test came back that he was not the father. Okay? They have been married for 6.5 years. They've been together all throughout college.
So the 5 years plus the one missing.
They've been together their whole adult life.
They've been married for. They had a baby after
They have
baby.
been together literally her entire adult life since she was 18 and went into college.
Well, what is she asking?
With anybody? She's not slept with anybody since she met this man.
Before she met him, then, right?
She only slept with 2 people before she even met him, and those were the one person she had her first in high school, her senior year, and the one person that she dated right before she went off to college, which is where she met her husband.
So how did
It happens. But that's not the biggest point.
No.
The biggest point, you guys, is the context of the story, and I'm about to give you guys the details, okay? Okay, so she and her spouse have been together since they were in college. She's never slept with anyone but him since they've been together. Now, right? So only had sex with 2 other men prior to her spouse, and college prior to the 2 of them being married. She had a discussion with her spouse about some of the tests that she desired to have to prove that she was actually faithful at the point that he presented to her the test outcomes that he was not the father with the mail-in DNA test kit that he did on his own without her consent or knowledge. Now, the devil is in the details here, okay? In DNA, right? DNA tests do a comparative analysis of alleles, right? There's a reason we expect mom, dad, child to be a part of the DNA testing process, because that gives us a really good picture as to what the specifics are around paternity. There are several isolated cases over the course of the last 26 years that have presented unique finding where there are more than one viable paternal contributor. So over the course of 24 to 48 hours is when conception takes place. So in the typical situation where a woman may have sex with more than one person in that 24 to 48 hours, that is the norm. And when this person initially contacted me, I went through that process to help her understand how that's possible. Because she said, you know, I have the difficult discussions, I help people, blah, blah, blah. Help her understand how this could happen, because she knows for sure that she's never slept with anyone else outside of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about a couple of ways that it could be possible, but also the importance of understanding that sometimes there are errors in tests, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way for us to find out if there is an error in the test is if both people, adult people, are now tested with the daughter a second time. And so she decided that, now I offered her to use a lab at their medical center, but she decided that she would use the same mail-in kit that he used. Okay.
Oh, okay. So he used a mail-in kit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's what she did.
That's probably
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, this is the part that, before I give you guys all of her outcome, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about that piece. Now, when her husband came to her, she said that she had just gotten done with her, daily cleaning of the house. So organizational structure of their relationship is that she's a stay-at-home mom. She's never really used her degree because he wanted to be more of the traditional man, in protecting and providing for the family. He's the one that works. She stays at home because it saves them on daycare, but also it allows her to be rested in her femininity and be a mother, an active mother with their 5-year-old daughter now. Now, he's had some questions or suspicions because, according to him, his friends have made statements about the way that they see his wife, about the way that she dresses in public, about the things that she says, about some of the relationships she has with some of her male friends, because she has a plethora of male friends, about the way that she just is as a woman. Now, until his friends started talking to him about some of these things, he never had any complaints, no concerns, no anything, right? Immediately, he tells her he is disgusted with her. She's a whore, calls her all types of names. And tells her she needs to get her shit and take her daughter and get out of his house. This is when he's throwing the DNA test in her face before she's really had the time to even sit with it and look at it. So after encouraging her to have a conversation, she was in her vehicle, just basically crying, sobbing, the kids there. The kids saw everything. Okay. Couple of things here. I encouraged her to go back to have a conversation with him, because at the end of the day, it's important to... How you gonna be raising a child for 5 years, and then you tell that child,
"That's not your dad. I'm not your daddy."
Right, and then to get the hell out of your house, and you speak to her mother like that, and then you expect for that woman to still love on you. And that's what I meant when I said a Black woman has, regardless of what this man said to her, she was still advocating for her husband, still trying to get in. Do you know the magnitude of tolerance there has to be? Like, when a woman submits to a man, a woman doesn't expect a man to do these kinds of things. Doesn't. If a man is looking for this kind of stuff and he is not man enough to have the conversation with you before he even jumps to the conclusion of doing a DNA test, why are you doing a DNA test?
Right.
That's cheating. That's the first act of betrayal. Okay.
Right.
Forget all of that. Okay.
He's making that decision based on what friends said.
Right. To making the decision to get the DNA test. But here's the thing: you get the DNA test in the mail and it says that you're not the father. why not have a conversation, a medical consultation with your medical doctor before
Right.
jumping to the conclusion that I'm all these different types of horse, floozy, floozy, and
Second
whatever.
opinion. Mm-hmm.
So in the aftermath of this, she goes in, has a conversation with him. She asked him if she could just sleep in the baby's room for, the night until she can call her parents, and then, go over there while they work things out, because she knows that there must be a mistake because she hasn't slept with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they did end up reconciling. She talked to her father. Her father called him, had a conversation with her husband or whatever, and he allowed her to sleep in her daughter's room. But you got to remember, she's still all these hoes and stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in the aftermath of that, they finally get to a place to where they're discussing what next steps are. And this has unfolded over the course of about a week or so, and just got the last test in yesterday, actually. But so the young lady said, okay, I want to take a test too. And she took the test, like I said, that was all the way last week. The mail-in one that he got, because this rapid test come back 24 to 48 hours. She got it back, and the test said that she wasn't the mother.
So, but she delivered this baby, right? Yeah. So
she delivered the baby. He watched her deliver the baby. Baby never left the room. The baby never left the room. Okay. So now she's really like, I'm gonna need you to explain this to me, Dr. J, because nobody's explaining this to me in a way that it makes sense. I said, well, I did advise you to go to
a lab
medical facility and have the lab do a test, or you can go to DNA diagnostics to the actual lab, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they went in and had the test done together.
The three of them?
Yes, the three of them. So yesterday's lab results were that they're both the parent, the father, and the mother.
Okay.
So here's the thing: the trauma of the child being exposed to the father saying that your mama ain't nothing but a hoe, and you a hoe's child, and you ain't my child, and blah blah blah. That's all happened. That's a real trauma for a 5-year-old girl to go through. What the hell? Now she's rethinking, what does it look like if we stay together now? Right? That's the first question. And how can I stay with a man who jumped to the conclusion that I would be a whore and I would sleep around and, ousted, put me on the streets, and he's supposed to have been my protector, my provider, my this, my that. And then she saw some other behaviors in the time that they were waiting on these labs to come back. He's been having a dialogue with another woman saying, oh, she never replace you. She never do this to me. Sir.
Who's cheating?
Right. So you really were looking for a reason to leave.
An escape. Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, I do feel like there are traumas to take into consideration when it comes to the way that we look at reconciliation for her and her spouse, because they have been married for 6.5 years and they do have this child together. This child now needs trauma-informed therapy in order to understand the difficulties of immature adults that were incapable of being adults, away from a child having a conversation that child should have otherwise not even been affected by. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think that she should do? Do you think that she should go? Do you think she should stay? What are your thoughts around the way that they heal and reconcile or separate and figure out what next steps are? And Susie, you can share your thoughts.
I mean, I think now that, and it would be interesting, what did he say when the test showed that they were actually the parents? Like, what was his response?
He said he was sorry.
Okay.
He apologized.
Okay. I mean, I think couples counseling marriage counseling would really help them to be able to sort that out about how they want this relationship to look, how their marriage to look, and how um, they can be able to. And I guess the kid is 5, but how would they be able, as a married couple, be able to talk to this little kid about what happened? Because that needs to happen to some degree, and clearly needs to get the kid, their kid, his or her own place to understand what happened between mom and dad and how the kid feel about that. But I really think, this if they feel like they want to be together, and like if he, recognize, well, I'm really sorry, and there's some genuineness to that, and in light of what has happened, he thinks that maybe we can make it, and she feels the same way. It's okay to have couples counseling because they've got to sort out how they feel, the level of distrust that she now feels for him, and how do they work on that so that they are able to, I don't know what the word is, but they were able to be in a place where they can actually um, make things more realistic and better, if that's the right word, better. But take a look at what happened. But I think the counseling would allow for him to understand what happened for him, that he did what he did, and for her also to understand that as well, and for him to then take a look at how she valued this marriage a whole lot more than he did, and acknowledge that.
Perhaps. I do think there is a part of her maybe that's feeling like maybe she had some delusions about the security in the marriage. And here is the reality. Okay. Sometimes I like to explain to couples and in relationships that we maintain with people, whether it's a friendship, an intimate partner companionship, a family filial relationship. In relationships, you always have different parties who are playing a different role in the relationship that you might be, which is why those relationships typically have a tendency to thrive the way they do. There's nothing wrong with one person leaning out, the other person leaning in. There is nothing wrong with people reevaluating whether or not they have value for you in their lives, right? Whether or not they hold value for themselves showing up in your life. So there is nothing wrong with that reevaluation component, but there is something very wrong when a person decides to go so far left that to the point where they're looking for a way out, and that way out is abusive to you and your personification of who you are and what you represent for them in their life, right? So I think that we have to reevaluate the way people show up in our life and demonstrate that they truly love and value us. We have to reevaluate how much we're willing to take from another person and what it looks like for us to then reconcile when we break the bonds of trust. Definitely infidelity recovery is a necessary component here, because here's the reality. This is cruelty to children.
Right. It's cruelty to her as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a whole nother level when it's a child.
Right.
That child is not yet a mother. That child is not yet a whole being capable of independent reasoning, thinking, and logic. That doesn't happen until age 11. The effects of a childhood trauma of this magnitude on a child under 11 means that she'll forever be tainted with the insecurities and sense of self that's necessary for healthy people to become healthy adults. You understand what I'm saying? Without the proper help and a continuation of support, love, encouragement, and it doesn't matter how many explanations you give a child under 11, that trauma is that trauma. It has a long-standing impact, is what I'm saying. So when you talk about the potential for personality disorder development, it's extremely high as a result of this exposure. So I think infidelity recovery is a necessary component. Having a conversation about what it looks like to slowly examine what led to him being in a place to where he felt comfortable enough with disrespecting me as his wife. If I'm, you know what I mean? If I'm in this position, I need to understand
There's no questioning. This is how
What
it
have
is.
made you so
Right.
comfortable that you thought it was okay for you to disrespect me, for one, to that magnitude,
Mhm.
for two, to jump to that assumption, for
Assumption.
three, to go behind my back and
Back.
betray me, for four, I got a ton of things.
5,
To
there's
harm our
is there another
child.
woman involved?
Right, because now you're talking to other women, and I'm wondering to myself, have you been talking to these other women? Is that just now coming out?
No, right?
Because now you feel comfortable? It's something safe
Mhm.
for you to do now? Like, we need to determine to what extent it's even possible for us to reestablish the bounds of trust.
Mhm.
And what previously was our relationship built on? If
Right,
not trust, if not
right.
adequate communication, if not safety and connectivity that allows us to have the difficult conversation with one another. Because if I can't talk to you, if I can't connect to you, if I can't relate to you and you to me, then who are we? We definitely are not a married couple.
Mhm.
Because marriage is a construct of the mind. It is not a contract on paper.
Mhm.
You understand? So it's like, if your mind told you your friends were more reliable and you were married to them, what am I doing with you?
Mhm.
Kel, what are your thoughts? Yeah, you got to come over here because they can't hear you.
I don't know what you think about that. Yeah, information. It doesn't matter as long as I don't know that you will not. What the settlement going to be?
They're the father and the mother.
Well, he is the boss.
Yeah.
Well, they scared that.
Yeah, but the question is, does she leave? Does she stay? How do they get to a point of reconciliation if that's possible?
Well, we don't leave now. You know,
It's not about him.
No, it's not about him.
I
It's
like
about
that.
the kid. It's
Ooh,
not about him.
ooh, fuck
No,
that
it's not
man.
It's not about him, right?
Why? Who cares about him? Now she might want to leave. You ever thought about that?
Mhm.
She may do. I mean, if you do, then that's on her.
The question is,
Mhm.
what do you do in the aftermath of having somebody that you trusted to be your leader, provider, protector? You trusted them enough to take your foot off the gas,
Mhm.
to not continue your career, to build and extend his legacy, to sacrifice your own life and vitality in the workplace. And
then to have him.
yeah, to have him feel so beautiful and high and mighty that he was gonna kick your ass out on the street on the whim that maybe he wasn't the daddy. It's for him. For me, it's the fact that he thought it was okay for him to go and get a blood test without having a conversation whatsoever.
Secretly. Go get one and then present it to you.
Yes.
I don't know
With,
about that.
with,
I mean, what's problem to do that period, though?
Right. So we need to have a conversation about why you think
that
it's
was okay to
for
do that.
If you never asked him that, they would have done it.
Yeah, he didn't ask nothing. He just went and did it.
No.
You don't think he wrong for that? Oh, you ain't gonna hold a man accountable, of course.
All the way I you come up there. All of us, the suspicion came in. There.
Unbelievable.
After 5 years.
And then he just said he was sorry.
No, I don't know how they came by that, yeah, but I'm just saying. So that's the hurt. So, you know, that's the emotional thing. So for most people, men and women, no. So
I don't think women go out getting mail-in DNA tests. We don't.
No, we won't.
We don't do that.
No, we don't.
They suspect them outside the shower, something like that. You know, they don't kind of be with that. You know?
Well, we're not irresponsible penis holders.
Anyway, she should be the coochie giver. He gonna be getting all that going on.
She should be the coochie giver.
Oh my God.
She didn't get it by herself.
But she didn't.
You're not able to.
She didn't. It was his child. She never had sex with anybody outside of him.
I'm saying she is clear. I mean, he had an emotional moment. I understand.
What was the emotional
Yeah,
moment?
he had an emotional moment.
She was an emotional mom. Is that what he said?
He said the man had an emotional moment.
Yeah.
He had an emotional moment.
Wait down, thinking that was his
What does that mean?
What the fuck? Child, listen.
He thought that was his daughter. On a false.
So just okay. So let's back
But
up.
for 5 years, you believe that's your kid up until suddenly somebody said.
What makes it okay for him to even go and get an at-home DNA test in the first place? Like he does not have the right. Well, he does, but he don't.
Somebody told him to do that.
I mean,
yeah, his friends.
He came in there.
The suspicion came in his friends. His friends told him that she have too many male friends. She's too nice with her male friends. She brings her male friends. They play the same way she brings his play. It was a lot of complaints that they said.
Okay.
I mean, but she brings his male friend their plate. So that means she's fucking your friends too? No, it's just a common courtesy.
Was that ever an issue for him?
Right.
Was that ever an issue for him until they started talking
It
about
was
it?
never an issue for him until his guy friends started talking about it.
That's how he got that suspect right.
That's right. That make it right?
He played to that.
He said that's how he got in the suspect realm.
Yeah,
I am done. Okay, men refuse to be held accountable.
Take responsibility.
I'm telling you, you cannot.
I guess it seemed believable.
You cannot be upholding this man.
I'm not upholding him. I'm
this male. I didn't even call him a man. How dare he?
I'm just saying. I guess he believed what his friend was saying to a certain extent at that moment. Well, we got it tested. It just verified it for him. Even with a false analysis, it still kind of verified for him what he was considering.
No.
A test does not verify whether or not you are a father. It verifies the paternity of a child. And sometimes it's inaccurate. In your heart and your soul of souls, what you feel when that birth life comes into the world determines whether or not you're a father. You've been a father to this child for 5 years, and you think it's okay for you to go and get a DNA test on the strength of your friends saying it might not be yours because they don't like the way your wife moves?
I agree with that. I mean, this is not way to fall to the realm. I'm still saying, though, he got in that realm. He did all that. He did all that.
So he didn't trust her enough to say, look, I have some concerns.
Yes.
Let's go get tested. You know, he didn't make a decision he didn't take the kid down and get the kid tested or nothing.
I mean, after 5 years, I couldn't do that for 5 years. Now, after some nigga say something to me too, that ain't gonna help me. I mean, too deep. That ain't gonna help me. Maybe 2-3 months pregnant or whatever. I think some shit going on.
He said 2-3 months pregnant.
Yeah. I might think some shit going on then. But after 5 years, no, I ain't gonna be doing that one.
So he said he was sorry, and then what does he want?
That's too much time.
He said that he was sorry. He won't speak about what it is that he wants. This is as recent as last night, literally. So she's just saying that she feels uneasy about continuing the relationship because here it is, and now it's the fact for her that he's been talking to other women now.
Right.
So now she feels less secure. And, I kind of explored with her.
What do you mean?
Well, this is where she asked him.
On him before they got the test results back. He was talking to other women online.
Confirmed nothing about no.
Yeah, he ain't confirmed yet, but he was.
So she should ask him that.
Yeah.
Ask him about that.
Well, he put himself in that position. I hope you for your option. Like I said, the modern man think there's an option. You don't know these people, boy. You better watch yourself.
He put himself in that position.
Okay. Or no show, fool.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be a no-show.
Yeah. I'm telling you, that point that you got 100% your options. Like you do all that. You don't know half of them. No, it ain't how it goes.
So you guys, you have it. You heard it here first, second, third, whatever. Okay. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are. I want to know whether or not you guys think that the young lady should stay, should go. What are your thoughts about things that you think women should do in order to change the course of the legacy that Black Americans have to continue who we are, redefine our purpose and our passion about our humanity and our subculture? And I want to know how you feel about our relationship topic of discussion today. Because I really feel like it's hard for men to hold men accountable. As you guys saw, Kel
Or the urban said they
I
do.
ain't going to defend. I just trying to figure out his deductive reason how you came to that point. I wasn't defending him. I'm trying to see how you came up with that, how you come up with that objective to do that. Yeah, I see.
We do too. We want to know how he come in, how he got there.
We want to know how it is that he thought it was okay for him to even try to go. But see, for me, I think it's really important to learn.
If you got conspiracy in your mind, that would do that.
No, conspiracy in your mind should lead you to have a conversation with a woman.
We're doing
But
something.
you're not married to your friend.
No, what I'm saying.
You better learn what prayer look like. You better learn what having a conversation look like. You better do something safe before you come to me and call me all kind of hoes.
Right.
He was a conspiracy. She wasn't. He had a conspiring type mindset. So,
Yeah, but he got to learn how to go to his God. When you take the vows of marriage, it tells you that marriage is not an entity that you enter into lightly. You know why? Because the element that you're getting married to, God, the Spirit, the Father, that you're marrying into and making a commitment before, gonna hold you accountable wholeheartedly. So the thing is, I think that we have to look at the weight of what we do and be conscious of who we are and how we move.
Before he figure out what he got going on.
I think he brought him up because he felt like he was right. He thought he was right in his claim because the DNA
had a test
over the mail said he wasn't dead.
And he still ain't. All the other women, somebody ain't correct. He done fucked that up.
Well, he had a test to prove he was right. What his friends were saying were right. The issue is he never had a discussion with her before he get to doing all the things he did.
Exactly. Because that's really the issue here. A lot of people look at the fact, well, what would the test say? The fuck? Nobody cares what the test says.
Even if it wasn't his kid.
Even if it wasn't, you are the first person to commit a treason against the relationship. Because you're the person to go out and decide to take it upon yourself to go get a Dana. You cheated with Dana before you even cheated with Wayne, whoever you on the thing talking to.
I guess he felt like, she gonna tell him the truth, so he gonna let the church tell him the truth.
Yeah, no. He can't feel like she won't tell him the truth. He never gave her an opportunity.
He's right.
He felt like that. I ain't say he
no. So that's okay in a non-marriage. And it really ain't even okay then.
No, okay, then you have a conversation. No, it isn't, Kel.
It's never okay for you to not give another person an opportunity to have a voice in the room around a matter that directly involves them and you. Before you go to an outside counsel, you can't just do that. Why do you think couples have a conversation first before they talk about going to therapy? They don't just call me the therapist and say, "Hey, by the way, I want to bombard my husband, my wife with therapy, so you're gonna be able to see us." No. They have several conversations, babe. We're having struggles through this, and this. Do you think therapy is a viable option? Right? And then somebody contacts the therapist. But you got to learn that adequate and fluid communication, honest communication with your partner is essential. You cannot somebody doing a at-home DNA test behind their partner's back on their child
without any kind of a conversation.
Ludicrous.
Even if he confronted her before and says, "I think you were. I suspect you might
he
be."
Didn't do that. He didn't even do that. The woman, one day she woke up, everything was perfect. Fixing breakfast, love you, honey. He goes off to work, come back home. He got them DNA test results he just got out the mail. And ho. Merry Christmas. Get out my house. The thing is, like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Look, it's against the laws of humanity.
And it takes a look at how they've been communicating all along.
No, she said that was different from anything that she's accustomed to. Normally, he talks to her about everything. He's very close to her. They work out their issues. They've never had an issue whatsoever in their marriage.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then now, it's
all of a sudden.
Yeah. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the conversations he had. Yeah, but the conversation he had with his friends, he never talked to her about. That's when he first started keeping the secret. So for me, it's similar to the situation as the last relationship discussion we had. The friends that men are keeping are the problem.
Are toxic.
They are leading to their destruction.
Look,
You got an otherwise healthy
look what happened.
marriage.
That's why I have no friends. That's why I trust no male. I don't do that.
Did he say that's why you have no friends?
You understand my position? Yes, now we got to the nut level.
So men do that too, because you know that traditionally woman is described as their girlfriends tell them, "Oh, leave him alone." Da 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 da. Men do that too.
But why not pick like-minded men to be
Okay.
friends
They
with?
all like my like other friends are. They're not like that.
Maybe they are like-minded. We're just finding that out.
Like me, I'll be that. I mean, that gotta be fake now. But it's not up to me like that. Everybody like that other guy friend was. That's why I don't fool with them. They like he are.
Me? Are y'all okay? It's Men's Mental Health Month. I want to emphasize that.
Them
Okay.
same one, them same one trying to put your wife. He's like behind your back. If you man wants to pick the wife, your friend. He be the one that got to push behind your back.
You know what? That's probably why he was talking
That's
about the
why
way the wife.
yeah, the whole thing got inside that man's head. He don't-
So for me, if
He
I'm
got
the
the
man,
one
I'm
he
asking the
done.
question of how do you know how? Why are you watching her so hard, sir?
Yeah, like I would be concerned my friends are looking at my wife.
Right? How do
Like,
you know she's serving everybody else in the room? How do you know what she's doing? Why are you watching her so closely? That would have been my mindset if I was that guy.
All those things sound like a
Kels, it sound like an
yeah, that's
alarm.
why you don't bring some people out, but they doing them type of things, man. I'm telling you, I don't trust no me. I don't trust no me. I don't care what necessarily. I don't trust me.
So-
So now she and him has to have a discussion about what they
I
want to do.
think that they
for
need
them
to have
and
a
for the
discussion
kid.
about the possibility of reconciliation and rebuilding the bounds of trust. Because here's the thing: whether or not she leaves or stays, like I said last week, I never like to encourage somebody to break a bond they've made a covenant between themselves and God around,
They
right?
have to figure that out.
But I think it's important for her to have a conversation with him about respect. Respect, the costlier of respect is paramount. You got to have that conversation because here's the thing: I need to understand the person that I've married. At this point, I need to understand who are you and you're becoming, because the man that I assumed you would be and you had the capacity to become did not include the
Not
man
him. That's not him today.
being on the objective list, right? So I never thought that you would be the person that would disrespect me. Those are the things they need to have conversations around. And it's hurtful to me that you've exposed our daughter to this level of trauma. Those are the conversations I think they need to start having now. And then I think they need to get to a level of understanding where they realize that people are just people, because that's the reality. Okay. I joke around, and I've joked around this topic, but people are just people, and we're flawed in our creation. We're flawed in our presentation. We're just human. Okay, only God is all perfect. We're the perfection of imperfection. That means you're going to see imperfection and flaws all throughout our existence. Okay, our personification, all of that. So she's got to accept the fact that he is the way he is, and you can only pray for clarity as to where your direction should be leading you right now. But it should definitely be leading them in a way that they learn to redefine who they are every day, do a healthy evaluation as to where they're going and growing in their relationship, because the reality is sometimes we put too much faith in those people and they don't even have the direction as to how to get to where they know they can go. You understand? And we have to recognize that and figure out how we can help them, right? So sometimes he's got to be strong enough to cut those ties that are in his ear, that are negative seeds being sown.
Right.
You know, as those super religious people say, the devil's always in your ear. Sometimes the devil is always in your ear. Okay. I don't know how it happens, but sometimes. Okay.
So he may have to get rid of those male friends.
Right. And she might have to
female
redefine.
friends too.
She might have to redefine how it is that she sees her husband.
Well,
Because to
definitely.
never have seen him as a disrespectful man. All the things she had, all upstanding citizen, he was a church going, God fearing man, blah blah blah. All of those things that she said about him. He was a deacon in the church. What kind of deacon calls his wife a whore? They got whores in Babylon, but Jesus saved the saints.
I'm sorry.
This girl literally has a body count of 3. 3, and she's not even 30. You know what I mean? So
yeah, she take off those rose-colored glasses to see him as he really is.
So she has to, take him out, depedestalize him first, humanize him, allow him to be human. And in accepting the fact that he's only human, she's got to deconstruct some of the things that she feels keeps him up on that pedestal and start having some real conversations about whatever insecurities lie inside of him. Because the reality is he's got to be seated in insecurity if he went to the extent of jumping to get an at-home DNA test instead of going to her and having the conversation. Saying, hey, baby, my friend said this, and this got me feeling like, know if I can trust you. Like, he could have said that. There are a lot of different ways he could have brokered that conversation. But instead, he committed the biggest act of betrayal.
Betrayal.
I don't know what I would do if I was in her position.
I know what I would do, but I can't say it.
I don't even know. Like, it's not. I think for me,
I know what I could have done.
I think marriage is the most respectable entity. It's the most. It's the heaviest crown that we could ever wear as people, because it indebts us not only to humanity but also to God at the same time, and in a larger capacity than anything else. It truly holds us liable for all of the things that we never imagined committing to, all of the things that we never imagined weathering without fail or running away or divesting. You see what I'm saying? Because it says death do you part. So essentially it says that whatever comes, whatever stones, whatever injuries, you're supposed to stay the course. So the reality is, before you make a commitment to that person that you choose to marry, you better damn well know that that person is going to be able to ride or die with you for life. And whatever they become, that you're going to be able to accept it, to navigate through it, get away from it temporarily, but never divest from it permanently. In my mind, I can't imagine what I would do, because there is no way that the mindset that I am of as a woman who believes heavily in submission. Oh no, I can't respect you. We're gonna have to fight. Because those are fighting words. Like,
I could understand that.
Nobody can speak to me like that. First I'm gonna look at you like I know you must be having a psychotic episode. Like, I know this is a psychotic episode. This is a demon that has possessed your body. This is a spiritual warfare. I'm gonna do all that. I'm just gonna say, because I need to understand that the person that I have selected, because when I say woman is given a gift of discernment, we are. Okay, I need to understand that the person I thought you had the capacity to be is nowhere in there.
It's not real. And how do I take care of this kid who's now traumatized?
Yeah,
I've got to find support for this kid.
That's that mother lion coming out, that lioness, because we're supposed to advocate for the safety of our children in a situation like that. How would you even know to tell the child, get back, go, put earmuffs on, because you don't know that kind of stuff is going to come out of your mouth, and the words that he spewed to their child. It's a lot for me. That is a lot.
Because daddy made a mistake. It's not going to work.
No.
It's too late.
Mommy would have had to make a mistake too. Kick him in the mouth, to his knees, in the balls, and the everything. I don't know.
No, well, I told you what I did. I just laughed.
But seriously,
so I remember
but seriously, I don't promote violence, but violence sometimes we get violence. It's a war. It's a war.
This is kind of where you pray.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pray a lot though. I can imagine me praying a lot and then grabbing at my limbs that are trying to do things that are ungodly. I don't know. But I think, I really do think that it's time for a deeper conversation. I really
absolutely.
do. I really do. It's time for a deeper conversation, some serious acceptance components, and some serious legwork when it comes to putting an actionable plan into place to hold one another accountable for what we do, how we do, when we do, what we do. Right?
And they really may need marriage. Then they will really need marriage counseling to do that. Absolutely.
I agree.
And this kid also needs her own the therapist to help her because she's gonna act that stuff up
definitely.
over
She
the
would
years.
definitely need some play therapy, but also I think some trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy could be a good fit for
Mm-hmm.
trying to resolve some of that stuff. But it takes time,
Mm-hmm.
kids. So
Well, if she and he's sort of invested in the marriage, it's going to take
how
time.
they invest. They
Well,
invest.
All he do is get rid of his friends, he'd be okay.
Get rid of your friends, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
That's
he
not
got the wrong friend. He like, I don't think
getting rid of your friends does not rectify the situation of disrespect that you've done toward.
it's not your friends you got to get rid of.
Yeah,
Well, you do
you.
got to get rid of them, but it's not really them.
But see, here's the thing. Like, and people say that all the time, but I encourage people to take personal accountability. I hate it when folks say, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
the friends."
No,
It's Facebook. Facebook
It's
isn't the
you.
people married. No, it's you.
You believed in
Because
them.
Facebook and your
Nonsense.
friends and the world going to be what the world going to be and everything. But guess what? You have to take accountability for the way you respond to those external entities. So I'm not eliminating my friends because my friends have no personal autonomy over me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm eliminating those parts of me that are dysregulated, that do not know how to make conscientious decisions, because I need to do some soul searching. My friends are my friends, and if they've been there for me, they still gonna be my friends. I
Mm-hmm.
should know better. As a man, we put great deals of faith in you people.
Mm-hmm.
They should be talking.
They are who they are.
No, your friends are who they are. You can't change them. You can let them talk whatever they want to talk.
That kind of stuff you eat.
They didn't put it in your head. You did.
No.
You let that soak in. They put it into the atmosphere. You grabbed it down and put it in your own head.
Why you put that in? Where it comes
Because they feel like it. They're them. They have a right to do that.
How about I want to challenge you about your partner?
It's not you challenging. It's you
No.
expressing yourself. So I have a right to express myself that I think your wife ain't shit.
And if his friends were talking about his wife like that, what did he say to them?
There you go. You're
What did
supposed
you-
to protect your wife
And talking
protect
about
your
my
life.
wife.
and say, hey, listen, man, I see that that's something you noticed, but I'm just wondering what I'm noticing in you is that
Well, you notice in my
wife
wife.
too much.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Exactly. That's what I said.
Notice it ain't.
Friend, watch. Get rid of them people. That's what I'm trying to tell you what's going on.
Right, but that don't mean you have to get rid of them. That just
No.
means you put them in check.
Put them
Yeah.
check.
And they'll go away because they can't stand the boundary. They'll go away.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like for me, I feel like we run. We don't deal with things.
They'll
I feel
go
like
away.
that is the number one issue in Black society. We can't just run every time. No, we need to learn how to start actually dealing with the things that are there. That means acknowledging that we have some flaws and we need to do some work and doing that work. So,
But he said he checks his phone pretty quickly. They would not say anymore, right?
yeah.
And then he would not have gotten to that place where somebody said that that kid really yours.
So he
Somebody
can
said-
have that conversation. I think that, okay, in a perfect world, right? Because who knows, he might see this video. She might share it with him.
Mhm.
In a perfect world, the way that conversation with his friends should have gone is in his collection of friends. Hey, bro, I see that you noticed this about my wife, but like I said, you're a little bit too noticing. I don't appreciate you noticing my wife. I don't appreciate you looking and watching my wife as she move, however she move with her friends. I get that you might be coming to me and on good authority. On the internal components of you might have some real concerns. And those concerns might be the fact that you see my wife in a way that is inappropriate. But I would appreciate if you just wouldn't. You understand? We're going to squash that there because this is my wife. This is who I've chosen. That's my daughter, regardless of what you might feel. Because I'm confident in that and I'm standing on business. So then what happens is that man or the men that have made those assertions about that man's wife see him as a different man than they thought they could try before. You see what I'm saying? So they're not trying your wife, they're trying you. A lot of men like to blame here and there. They don't take accountability. That's what I say. That's what I mean when I say that. They're not trying her. They're trying the man in you. They think that you, what they call it, bitch made. Right. So a man who challenges a man about his wife is challenging that man about his manhood. Because any man who is married to a woman knows that his primary function is to protect protect comes before provide.
Mm-hmm.
You have to covet your wife. That's your job. You got one job.
He should have jumped down on them. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to know what they said. And he goes,
Right. So my thing is, that was his opportunity, and it was a failed opportunity, missed opportunity. So that's where he needs to jump in and piggyback off of. He needs to be able to demonstrate that he stands firm with his wife, and she can trust him by way of checking the friends that are in his circle, not running away from them.
And then they can't come to my house anymore.
Well, no, not even that. Because see, a real man, when he checks you, it requires that you officially apologize to his wife for the things that you said, the unrest and the upset that you caused in my spirit, in my household. Because I want peace as a man, right? If I'm a man, I want you gonna apologize to my wife for even mentioning some sly stuff that I'm not holding you accountable for my actions, because clearly I was a broken man. Because you gotta own that. Bro, he has to own that, So I think that he has to own that. And owning that, I think other men see a man that they can truly stand behind. They can truly get behind, because they see that man is the man that takes accountability for his mistakes. And then I think she sees strength in him for being able to take accountability for his mistakes. And I think that brings them together, not splits them apart. So I think truly that's where he could bridge the gap of incongruence, if any, right? And I think that she then needs to learn, like I said, see him as a person. He's just a person with flaws, right? And then learn meaningful ways to reconnect, go through therapy, do the work, allow space for your daughter to do the work, support her through the process, show up congruent with one another, get spiritual counseling as well, get yourself in your house more. That's, for me, that's the answer. But I still feel like I could not have been her, because I'm a spiritual woman, but I'm not that dedicated. You're not about to call me Babylon anyhow. If you better not even say ho 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 Merry Christmas. You better just say Merry Christmas, everybody. Just Happy Holidays.
Yeah, that would be hard to forget.
Yeah, I just then those would be trigger words.
Yes, ma'am.
But so I'd like to thank you guys for watching our show. Thanks to Urban Therapist for coming on, and hopefully once he's gotten things figured out and sorted out, he can come on and then he'll leave his list of things that he feels like women should start doing, and some of the things they need to divest from, etc., on the feed for you guys. And if you have not already subscribed to the channel, please take the time now to do so. We appreciate your support and your listenership. I am not monetized. You are welcome to Cash App donations there, and help me build up my subscriber listener support on YouTube. I don't really know how you really refer to that, really, but I think that's what it is. Help me build up my subscribers by liking and sharing the content. If you thought that it was appropriate or relatable, or you feel like somebody in your immediate circle needs to hear any of the content that we talked today, and I'm sure somebody does, in light of this month being Mental Health Awareness Month. Men need therapy.
Brothers need therapy too.
Yeah.
There's a social worker who's got a business that says that on his t-shirts.
Right. So Google that. If you Google his hashtag, Brothers Need Therapy
I
too.
will.
Is that it? Brothers Need Therapy too? Is it Brothers Need Therapy?
Brothers Need Therapy.
Okay, so if you guys hashtag and Google Brothers Need Therapy, he has merch and everything out, but he's also a social worker. I think it's really important for men to do the work that is impactful on allowing them to fully embrace their capacity as men. I think we have Black kings embedded in every Black man that's doing sometimes some off the wall things. You guys have to learn how to fix one another's crowds and to hold one another accountable, because I think that's an area you guys just fail in. Sorry. But that is all that I said.
Do.
Yeah, Urban Therapy said y'all do, but I think that's a lie.
Maybe we know a couple men who does. That's it.
Amari determined that was a lie. I don't know.
That's right. Men don't hold men accountable.
in closing, I hope you guys continue to put light, love, and positive energy into the atmosphere around you, into those people that are connected to you. Invite positive people around you. Please don't have friends that are essentially your enemies in your circle, because they are always praying for your demise, your downfall, and you never know how powerful their prayers are. Because sometimes we don't pray at all. And I am not a person who is deeply religious, but I am very deeply spiritual. And I think that it's impactful and powerful that we all understand that there is a person, an entity, an element that is higher than us. And we all have to account for the things that we do in this life and the next. So it's important for you to keep yourself prayed up and protected against people that may be praying for your downfall. Like this young man. I don't know his friends like that, but ain't no friends of mine about to be doing the kind of things that his friends doing. If you
I
guys
think
are
he's
joining
genuinely
us,
sorry.
right. If you guys are joining us for the first time and you caught this video on the end of it, please do go back and rewatch the whole video. If you catch me on the replay, God bless you, because it's a long video. But if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give me a big thumbs up, like, share the content, do subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we are live on this channel typically every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless it's like the show is X-rated, then we stream a little later. Make sure them kids in the bed. But that's all that I have, you guys. I'm Doc LQJ, and this is Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson, where we engage in those difficult discussions, and I hope that you guys are well.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.